Let me see. Yeah, as I'm getting the multi-stream going, I'll just kind of say that last time we wrapped up the that big vertical puzzle. There was like a vertical dungeon, that had a whole bunch of layers to it, the whole idea was to climb up to reach Janos Audrin's stronghold, and it took quite a while because that dungeon is a bit long in the tooth for sure. I think it's meant to take a while. It wasn't that complex necessarily, but yeah, it just took a while to kind of bang out. And it was fruitful because, for one thing, we finally got our confrontation with Janos Audrin. We got a huge series of story things which were significant. And also of course, it meant that now we have we've got like some insight as far as certain character motivations for characters like Mobius, characters like Kain, and characters like Janos Audrin, who's kind of been in the background, we knew they were significant, but in what way? And also, of course, it allowed us to get the Fire Reaver, which is, I believe, I think that's a final Reaver flavor. I think that's like the final, obviously whatever is going to happen next is going to be the final approach to whatever the final boss is going to be. And I'm guessing that final approach will probably involve one more dungeon. I'm guessing we have one more dungeon before we wrap it up. Kind of like in Legend of Zelda, like Ganon's Castle is always the final dungeon leading up to the big finale. I'm guessing that's what this game is going to toss at us. Also, I'm enjoying a caffeinated beverage. This one is actually the remnants of one that Gracie did not want, and I mean, I took a sip. I was like, I think it's good. It's like a banana bread. It's like a banana bread latte thingy. It's only half of one, so it's not that much, but I think it's very pleasant. It's very, very pleasant. Yeah. I think it's not that she didn't like it. She just didn't want to finish it. No, it's like, well, I can make it disappear. So we popped in the fridge, and I'm enjoying it tonight. My friends. So, let's go ahead and resume where we left off. How's that sound? We're 12 hours and some change in. So, I would say, yeah, on the whole, this is turning out to be maybe about the same length as Soul Reaver 1. I would say about the same length of time it takes to beat both games. I was thinking maybe this one's going to be a little bit longer. The thing is, Soul Reaver 1... I'll go and get the multi-stream. Actually, I think the multi-stream is running. I think I just gotta check a couple more things. But yeah, Soul Reaver 1 was very good. It was quite different in some ways. One of which being that the game was very much more of a kind of a Metroidvania, really, in some ways. You could sort of make the same argument for this game, but this game is more linear. I mean, Soul Reaver 1 was also fairly linear as well, but at least there was, like, extra areas to explore. There were extra power-ups. There was life increases. There was spiritual energy increases. There were the spirit medallions you could find. Or maybe not spirit medallions, but the, like, elemental medallions you could find that would give you new powers. There was extra stuff you didn't need, but definitely helped and was really cool and flashy. So... I liked that about the first game. It encouraged you to explore. It encouraged exploration. It encouraged kind of going off the beaten path. This game... I have a beard here in my mouth. This game is good, and the story is the bigger focus, but because it's bigger focus, it's more linear. There's really, truly, like, I would say zero exploration, or at least no exploration beyond where you need to go. There's no secret power-ups. There's no secret abilities. So, it's a little bit more focused, which is... good, but you lose something with that as well. So there are pros and cons to it. Pros and cons. But otherwise, friends, I think we're all set. I know I went ahead and loaded the game. I went ahead and jumped the gun slightly because I got very excited. Can't say I blame myself for being excited to play this thing. Playing this thing tonight, my friends. That's right. And I think we're beating it. So, I think we're all set, friends. And with that, let's get back to Legacy of Kain. How's that sound? Legacy of Kain 2, Soul Reaver, and... I'm sorry, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2, not... Yeah, you know what I meant. And we just beat this dungeon last night. We got the fire... the Fire Reaver we got equipped right now. It looks badass as hell. Got the fire projectiles, just like Soul Reaver 1, when we had the fire ability on that one, too. So yeah, so we're picking up where we left off last time. We got the Fire Reaver dungeon, or I guess the Fire Forge, all completed. And as you might recall, we know that Janos Audrin is fighting for his life. Even though we know where this is going, like we know what happens, we know what is ordained to happen, but the general gist of it is that Janos Audrin is fighting for his life, and he pushed us away. He didn't want us involved in that conflict. So, you know, we've been trying to solve this dungeon and gain the Fire Reaver so we could go assist him and unlock this door, because he locked the door behind us. I like to think that, you know, I ended the stream last night because I had to go to bed. I like to think that, like, while I was sleeping and while this day was happening, Janos has still been alive. He's still been fighting for his life, and Raziel has been just dying to jump in to save him or help him. So, we've been waiting all this time. What awaits us? Let's find out. Are we too late? Of course we're too late. And we knew this because we've seen this scene in Legacy of Kain Ascendance. There's Mobius, and there's human Raziel. With this wrist blade thing he's got. So they claim the Heart of Darkness.
How it still beats.
Then he sees us. Uh-oh. Paradox. Hello, me. Meet the real me.
The fiend intends to bury us alive. Raziel, we must get out of here. Remember the sword.
So we've seen this scene play out in Legacy of Kain Ascendance, but from a different perspective, obviously. We saw that scene from the perspective of human Raziel.
Forgive me.
He's dead.
I'm sorry. I failed you.
No, Raziel. Perhaps this was my true purpose. Simply to save your life this once.
While I have taken yours.
Embrace your destiny, Raziel. You must reclaim the Reaver. It was forged for you and you alone. Without it, there is no hope.
We kind of knew where that was headed. That was basically what was ordained to have happened. It's a shame that despite our meddling with the timeline,
Backed away from Janos's body.
that still happened, but no surprise.
A sense of self-loathing so deep, I could barely contain it. In that instant, I rejected all that I ever was, and embraced the role Janos had safeguarded for me so patiently throughout the centuries. I knew then what I had to do, the task for which I was uniquely prepared. I would pursue the Saracen dogs to their loathsome fortress and avenge Janos Audrin's murder. Mobius would pay dearly for his treachery, and my Saracen brethren would reap the horrors they had sown. I would retake the stolen Reaver, which was rightfully mine. And finally, when all these debts had been paid, I would reclaim Janos Audrin's heart from their filthy, unworthy hands. If the heart was truly imbued with the power to restore vampiric unlife, its highest purpose was clear to me. I would restore the heart to Janos, and thus undo the vile crime committed by my abominable former self.
No subtitles for that last line, by the way. Subtitles just kind of bugged out. Whoa! We regain control. I find it interesting that at the end there, at the end of that cutscene, Raziel was kind of standing on that balcony with the Fire Reaver out, and we had that vision near the end of Soul Reaver 1 of Raziel standing what I think was like over a balcony with a red-looking Soul Reaver affixed to his wrist. Something like it looked red. This one looks more orange, but still like some kind of like fancified red Soul Reaver. And looking very ominous, looking very ominous and menacing, wondering what the significance of that was. I think that's what that was. I think that was a premonition of what that scene was going to entail. So Raziel killed, right, human Raziel killed Janos Audrin. Audrin is the guy's name. Which again, we kind of knew was going to happen. That was like the thing that was, I think, predestined to have happened. And we fucked with the timeline. We fucked with the timeline by refusing to kill Kain, but in doing so, we still these things have still happened. Even though we fuck with the timeline, the fates have still conspired to make sure that that event still transpired. And actually, you could even make the argument that we played a hand in it, by going through the opening into Giannis Audron's. I guess it's probably closed now. Yeah, it's closed right now. But by breaking open this cavernous entry here and going through that dungeon and like building the staircases that allowed us to get there, it also allowed the humans to get there as well. So you can make the argument that, like, not only did we fuck with the timeline to alter things, but also we kind of played a hand in allowing that to happen. So maybe in some ways it was like timeline fuckery that just kind of like, yeah, we split the timeline, but it kind of like re-emerged or like re-merged into itself, and or our meddling kind of caused it as well. So let's see. So we need to get our asses back to, I guess, the beginning area, right? The Starfund Stronghold. So we got to go back the way we came. Got to go back the way we came, which means I believe we're going. I think it's this one here. I think it's this one here with like the kind of ramp. Yeah, this kind of like ramp shape. I think this is where we're going to take us back the way we came here. Do you believe that's the plan, Reno here? Checkpoint. So yeah, so it sounds like our objective. Oh, hold on. Our objective is to fight probably Mobius, because Mobius is not dead in this timeline. In fact, we saw him. We saw him in that previous cutscene just now.
So, these demonic pests were not merely the product of Nosgoth's corrupted future. For here they were, hurtling back over 5 centuries to pursue me. These creatures, I suspected, were minions of the unseen forces that had hoped to control me. This was the tangible expression of their displeasure. These demons were unleashed as the penalty for my disobedience.
Alright. See, I just assumed they were vampires, and maybe they are in some way. And maybe they are in some way, but I think the interpretation is that, yeah, there's some other... Yes, let me just miss all my attacks. They belong to some other third party. Some other faction that's yet to truly reveal itself. Hard to say. But like you said, we mostly saw... Actually, no, we didn't mostly. We entirely saw them only in the future. The fact we're now seeing them in the past is unexpected. This also tells me we're going the right way. Yeah, we're getting the green boys as well. The purple ones I don't mind as much. The green ones I don't mind as much. The gray ones are much tougher to deal with. To Belgasso, a lot of cutscenes. Yeah, you're not wrong. A lot of cutscenes in this game. And to be honest, I like the cutscenes in this game. Normally I'm not the biggest fan of this many lore dumps, but I genuinely do find these, like, the lore and the world building in this game to be pretty well done, at least for its time. Like, you know, is it kind of cheesy?
You can say Nosgoth.
Of course it is.
Let me enlighten you, poor Raziel.
Of course it's cheesy, but I don't know. I kind of try to lean into it. Okay, I'm just gonna get a proper kill on this guy. So I'll get a standard kill against you so that way I can get my health back. Oh, never mind. I'll just kill him in one hit. That works too. No, I mean, are the cutscenes cheesy? Is the story cheesy? Of course it is. No question. Here we go. Another one. Ow. But I would say for its time, it was, I don't know, I think there's like something to it. It's representative of that kind of like edgy 2000s time that I know I remember fondly. And this is a game I always was curious about, but of course never had the means to play as a kid. For one thing, it was rated M. There's no way my parents were gonna buy it for me, obviously, and I wouldn't have been able to buy it myself. Did a lot of damage to me, goddamn. That's a lot of damage. The full heal though, which is good. Thing back out. But I try to lean into the, like, you know, what I keep saying is describing as the hot topic energy this game brings to the table. Lean into the cheese. Ow. Say, can I kick the shit out of him? I'll just fucking rip his face off. There we go. I'll take that, and I'll take your little sword as well. Your cute little sword, now it's mine. We know exactly what to look for, because the first time I came through here, it was all very dark and scary. Oh god, what the fuck was that? Some fucking Balrogs or some shit, goddamn. Big fucking guy.
The savior of Nosgoth.
He said they were more demonic, and I would agree. These do appear to be more demonic. And why are the humans allied with them? That's kind of fucked. Shouldn't you guys be, like, bothered by this present? By the presence of these dudes? Like, why are you okay with these guys being here? Shouldn't you be like, hey, that's kind of fucked up? Shouldn't you, like, you know, call me old-fashioned, but I see a giant fucking demon stomping around in a humble little village like this. I'm gonna be a little perturbed. Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna let them play this out. I know this guy's gonna stomp the dick out of him, but there you go. Yo, what's up, Aleph? Did we save Giannis Audrin? No, we did not. We did not. No, we did not save Giannis Audrin. Although it's not terribly surprising, because the official time, we actually have already seen in the official timeline that Giannis Audrin gets got. Ow. Yeah, I wanted the health, but not with that shit happening. Ow. So we know Giannis Audrin gets got. We weren't sure exactly, like, fully how it was all going to play out, but yeah, none of it was surprising. What I was curious about is if our meddling with the timeline was going to have any bearing in it. Like, you know, our meddling with the timeline, if that was going to change anything at all, significantly or otherwise. And the answer is maybe. Maybe it, like, would have played out slightly differently, but it still led to his demise. We know that in the official timeline, before our meddling ever happened, that yes, eventually humans catch up with Giannis Audrin, the Seraphan. The Seraphan specifically catch up with the Giannis Audrin and kill his ass. Gouge out his heart, the still beating heart of darkness. We know that that's how that plays out, but what we don't know is how exactly it happened. The difference here was that we kind of unknowingly led the Seraphan to Giannis Audrin. Ow. Ow. This guy should be able to just kind of combo his ass. There we go. We unknowingly led the humans to Giannis Audrin by virtue of solving the puzzle, like solving the dungeon. That allowed us to reach him. We created all those staircases that kind of led us all the way up. Because the whole idea with that dungeon is that you need wings. You need the power of flight to be able to ascend to where he was. Well, when we solved all the puzzles for that dungeon, it let us walk right up. Who else is bipedal and doesn't have wings and can walk up staircases? Humans, the Seraphan. So we when we made the dungeon traversable for us, we kind of made it traversable for them as well. By the way, I should save. So, on the one hand, you would think maybe our fucking with the timeline would have maybe changed Giannis Audrin's fate, would have had a chance to have changed his fate. Or maybe the official timeline expects us to have fucked with the timeline. Like, maybe the official timeline, like, maybe this is how it was all set to begin in the first place. Like, maybe there was no proper meddling. Maybe the stuff we did that we thought was fucking things up was how it was supposed to go in the first place. But yeah, we knew that Giannis Audrin gets killed and his heart gets taken out. What I don't know is they were saying, and near the end of that cutscene, human Razio, which we did see, he was the one that struck the killing blow to Giannis and took his heart from his corpse. We know that they made a mention of, hey, remember the sword, which probably specifically is referring to the Soul Reaver, the physical manifestation of the Soul Reaver, not the one we have on our arms right here, like the spiritual version, but the real shit. Oh, hey, you want to fight that guy real quick for me? Really, you're all just gonna ally with each other? That's so fucking lame, bro. Yeah, no, you should fight each other, bro. Literally everything here wants to fight me specifically. I'm just the belle of the ball right now. Oh, maybe not. You want to fight each other? Look at that sword guy. He kind of wants to fight that guy. He's too scared, though. He's like, I don't know. If I strike first, he's gonna rip my entire penis off. while these guys are playing grab ass with each other, I'll just say, yeah, so it sounds like they probably also took the physical manifestation of the Soul Reaver. Maybe that's the official explanation for how Kain gets the Soul Reaver. Because in Soul Reaver 1, at the very beginning, Kain has the physical sword. Okay, I'm gonna find this guy. So maybe, like, he takes it from the Seraphan. We know that at some point, human Raziel gets killed. Not turned into a vampire, gets killed. Like, human Raziel, these fucking guys, goddamn. While he is a member of the Seraphan, as one of their warrior priests, he gets killed off. I can't remember how he dies, but I think we saw it happen in Legacy of Kain Ascendance. It'd be, you know, actually, it might have been human. It might have been us. Like, we might kill a human Raziel, which is to say, this form of Raziel might kill him. That might be our final boss. I was thinking maybe the final boss was going to be Mobius. But now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, because if we were to kill Mobius, that wouldn't explain it, because Mobius doesn't get killed by Kain. Or no, we know that Kain kills him much later in the future. So I think as much as we would like to kill him, I think Kain is the one that gets that pleasure. All right, now they're gonna fight the bros. There we go. When I've killed all the other dudes. So it's literally one sword guy versus... Oh, rip. Never mind. Okay. I was gonna say, it's literally one guy versus two of these big fuckers. Ain't no fucking way that's gonna go well. I'll toss that at him and... the Soul Reaver. I think we have to kill them. I think there are barriers preventing us from trying to... Whoop. Trying to get through here. I like when they do that attack, because that's really easy to counter. Whoop. Ow. Still got hit by it, though. Ow. I was gonna say, if I can get the kill on this guy. Fucking twisted his neck. That was sick. Oh, there's an achievement for getting a kill with that guy. Against that guy with our bare hands. It's no God of War. It's no God of War with their elaborate execution, quick time events, but still pretty cool though. Or the human guy. Actually, I need to kill this lady.
Guard me, brothers.
Sorceresses will continue being annoying shitters. Oh. They're not very dangerous, but they're annoying with their ability to just do ranged attacks. Yep. Clang, clang, clang. Yeah, it's a nice mix-up. If they start just turtling up, just start doing the leg sweep, and that'll force them to take a different defensive technique. Bonk. Bloop. Yeah, so the more that I'm thinking about it, I think the official explanation is that when we fucked with the timeline, that probably was expected. I think us fucking with the timeline by not killing Kain, I think that was part of the expectation. I don't think we ended up truly changing anything in the way we thought we would.
Come closer.
So fucking with the timeline, not killing Kain, doing all this time travel wonkiness, which we thought would maybe make a difference, was probably expected from the start. Ow. Oh god. Oh my god. It's a hard one to dodge. I keep trying to dodge it. Whoop. There we go. Get on me. There we go. There we go. A lot of damage. But yeah, I think all the time travel stuff we've been doing that we thought maybe was going to be, you know, kind of unique and kind of change things up a bit, I think was actually not unique, and I think was expected. Get up there. Can I get up on this side, maybe? Like, that's just a little bit too high. Oh, wait, no, I think you get up... Oh, I think I wasn't supposed to jump down. I think we still had to kill that guy to remove the barrier. Go up this way. Fighting away all the way back to through the stronghold, and truly fighting our way back. It is a lot of combat sequences. And it's not like how normally when you're going through these little canyon areas in the swamp, when you can just ignore the combat and just kind of jump over the dudes and kind of do whatever. These little barriers that close around us require that we fight through these dudes versus just run past them. This is a good opportunity to get some health back because these guys, those big demon guys, were spicy. I agree with Raziel's assessment. Those guys are more demonic looking than vampiric looking. So it's entirely possible that this third party that we've kind of picked up on that is somehow involved in the affairs of the story could be infernal in some nature. Something abyssal. What's up, Whale? What's up, buddy? Which could mean it's maybe involved somehow with the overseer, the Cthulhu tentacle god that we kind of officially worked with in the in the first game, but we've been defying us maybe slightly in the second game. And we haven't like been fighting him, obviously. Bonk. We have been fighting him necessarily, but we also haven't been acquiescing to his wishes. So it's entirely possible that maybe he's the one sending these demons after us. I wouldn't think of him being a demon necessarily, because I think the official explanation. Oh my god! And they do that wide sweep. That's hard to deal with. After I'm just dodging. Yeah, just gonna solo him at my ass. Yeah, usually I can dodge those, but I'm having a particularly hard time here. Man, this guy's gonna solo my ass.
Free your soul, demon.
Got completely solo there. I don't know. I got a beard hair that is like very stubborn. There we go. There we go. That whole time I had this beard hair that was stuck there. Now hopefully there's a physical conduit. The good thing is we killed all the big scary demon guys. Which most likely would have persisted. And the more I'm thinking about it, yeah, I think I might have it figured out. It's entirely possible that the faction that is out to get us right now, that is kind of teleporting in from extra dimensional origin. Maybe the idea is that came from the abyss, which is to say the abyss into I can't climb the walls in spiritual form. Good to know. The abyss into which we were thrown at the very, very beginning of Soul Reaver 1. And like in the prologue of Soul Reaver 1, we get thrown into the abyss, that's how we die. And then the Elder God brings us out of the abyss, brings us back as a Reaver so that we can exact revenge on Kain. I'm thinking what might be going on here is that the forces that are going after us are from that abyss. Maybe it's some kind of thing that's like they're trying to bring us back. Trying to bring us back to the abyss because we were killed and tossed in there. Maybe that was our destiny. Maybe that's the idea. I'm thinking either that. Speaking of exacting revenge, I gotta fuck up the dudes that killed me earlier.
Free your soul, demon.
It's like I have a really hard time dodging that attack when it's that full dodge at that time. Yeah, usually if you just do a side dodge, you can pretty much get out of that one, but that's a hard arc to reach sometimes. Ooh. Grab that. Grab this. Ow. I am just dog shit at dodging these attacks lately. What the hell? I used to be reasonable this game. Gabe's combat, what the hell happened, man? All it takes. We got Whale in the house. What's up, bud? Yeah, where are the demons coming from? My thinking is they came from the abyss that we were tossed in at the start of Soul Reaver 1. That's my thinking. And further kind of tugging on that possibility is the notion that whenever we die in the physical realm and we're sent to the spirit realm, like in the case of the Seraphan, in the case of vampires, we don't have to fight them in the spirit realm. They can't even touch us in the spirit realm. We have to return to the physical realm to continue fighting them and to finish them off. But in the spirit realm, we've seen that those demons persist. We have to fight those demons in the spirit realm and the physical realm. And if you kill them in one, they're dead in both. So they can persist through realms just like how we can. That makes me think that, yeah, there's like something about... Oh my god. It's so hard dodging in the swamp, dude. My god. The thing is, it's like I gotta get close. Man. I hate the swamp, man. Hate this shit. And of course, we could, if we could find an Air Reaver basin, then we'd be able to move through here a little bit easier. The thing is, we just got the Fire Reaver. I'm gonna guess we probably need the Fire Reaver going forward. Whip my entire ass, goddamn. My entire booty. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the explanation could be that they are Reavers just like we are, but they don't really look like us. They don't have the same blue skin. They don't have like the cloved, like the cloven, like the claw hands and feetsies. So I don't think they're like us. I don't think that's the explanation. They look much more like proper demons. They look more like, yeah, proper demons for sure. Giant horns, the whole 9 yards. Our guys, I mean, our guy looks more like a ghoul than a demon, I would say. More wraith-like. Hold on, I'm gonna finish you off. Fucking hate the swamp, man. This place is the worst. The swamp is annoying to, like, navigate through. But it's at least it's hard to get lost here, at least in the mountain areas. Because yeah, that should have been enough of fall damage to kill his ass. The mountainous areas are it's way easier to it's harder to navigate. So like it's harder to it's easy to get lost at least. When I say navigate, I mean like, oh my god. Area. Now it's easier to get lost in the mountains, but at least here, the main complexity comes with just trying to get around. There are some areas where you can get turned around, but it feels like there's fewer of those. At least it's nice and light out now, so it's not quite as a matter of like everything's dark and everything just kind of blurs together. Oof. I've been fighting these guys so much, and yet I'm still so bad at fighting these guys. It's embarrassing. Like I've been fighting these dudes for a couple of hours now. We like a couple of in-game hours, not tonight obviously, because I've only been live for like an hour or maybe 50 or so minutes. But of course, before tonight, we did a pretty good stream yesterday, pretty long stream yesterday. There we go. Ah. Wish we had a stab attack. It's a shame that our quick attack is this one, which are very short-range attacks. It's like you have a spear and you're using short-range like movements with this kind of weapon. It seems just less than ideal. Seems inefficient. Oh, there we go. There's the opening. Well, so we got to play some Subnautica 2, but streaming a new game that's a tricky one for sure. That's a tricky one for sure. Because part of the problem is that Subnautica 2 is a very hotly anticipated game, and there's a lot of people streaming it right now. Or at least I assume there's a lot of people streaming it right now. Maybe it's not as many as I would imagine. But yeah, when it's a hotly anticipated game, let's take a look. Actually, I'm kind of curious. When it's a hotly anticipated game, and it finally releases either in early access or what have you, Subnautica 2, there are... Wow, yeah, there's a lot of people streaming that game right now. So that is a very valid challenge. It's a very valid challenge, Whale. Yo, what's up, Grim? This is, I love it when you get penetrated, Alex. Is Subnautica 2 almost done? I'm actually not sure. I think it is early access. But it only just got to early access pretty recently. So I don't know how early of access we're talking necessarily.
You shall not pass.
Funny that a Balrog looking fellow would say that to us. Ow. Ow. I lost my lock. Go. This Balrog looking motherfucker using that line on us is a little bit silly. I'm sure that was not an accident. I'm sure that was very deliberate by the developers. So it hit early access pretty recently, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it is... I don't think we're going there. I think we're going to the Stronghold. At least get the light fella. Let's get the light fella real quick. So I know it's early it's only been in early access recently. I don't know if it's one of those where, like, it's content complete, they're just polishing it, or if there's, like, whole swaths of the game still left for them to do. But yeah, it's only been in early access recently. The first Subnautica game, of course, was I don't know if it was necessarily an indie game necessarily, but it was a game that did very well. Not a AAA game, obviously, so a relatively small developed game that did really well. So I don't know if it's an indie game darling necessarily, but a small development team darling no less. And it's been very hotly anticipated, and a lot of folks have been really excited for it. And it was, like, pretty hyped on Steam as well. Like, you would see the little pop-up saying, hey man, Subnautica 2 early access coming soon, get fucking ready, baby. So the challenge then as a streamer, it's like, okay, well, I want to play this game, but everybody else is playing this game too. How do I make my stream be an attractive option for people who want to watch this game? And that's a really hard question to answer, and I don't have an answer. My answer is I usually just don't bother. Or rather, it's not that I don't bother, it's that I wait a while before I stream it. That's happened a lot of times where it's like there's a game I really want to stream, but I look on the Twitch category and I'll see like 80, like tonight it was like it's 88,000 viewers on Subnautica 2 right now on Twitch. Now it doesn't mean 88,000 people streaming it. It means that, like, you know, inevitably there's like a few streams that have like, you know, 10,000 viewers, and then several that have like 1,000, and then a whole dozen or so that have like 800 viewers, and then 100, and then 80. It kind of drops off. It kind of staggers. But the idea that, yeah, there are a lot of people streaming this category and a lot of people watching this category already. You know, if I were to stream that game, I would be super, super, super far down that game's category in the directory. I would be at the bottom instead of the directory. Which is, you know, just the harsh reality of, you know, when you're small time. It's hard to stand out in a game's directory like that. So if somebody is looking to watch somebody stream that game, which happens sometimes, sometimes somebody is looking for a stream based on, you know, they already know this person, they're looking for their screen name. But sometimes someone is looking for a game, looking at a game, they're saying, I want to watch someone stream this game. It's probably not as frequent necessarily, maybe it's not as common as some other scenarios, but yeah, there is that kind of viewer that says, I want to watch someone play this game. I've been in that situation where I'm looking for someone playing the game I want to watch. So in that instance, when you're small time like I am, yeah, it is harder to make that stream pop out. Do original graphics for all, just kind of mix it up. Where do we go from? Oh, I think we go up. So there's still stuff that it needs to be implemented, and there's probably more. Yeah, there's probably performance tweaks as well. I think you're right, Will. That's usually how early access goes. Sometimes there's new content, or content to be added, and performance stuff. Sometimes it's only one or the other. But yeah, seems like at minimum, performance tweaks is to be expected. I guess that's the whole idea behind early access, is that, you know, it gives the developers a nifty and convenient means of playtesting. Assume there's no health out here. yeah, it gives the developers a chance for some playtesting opportunities. They can say like, hey man, yeah, here's some folks that can play our game. See what it's all about. Yeah. And if there's technical things for us to work on, we'll be able to see it ourselves. Like, you know, we'll get the bug reports, we can watch people stream the game, we can watch the YouTube videos. You know, they can test things as well as they can on their end, but you know, they don't have, oh my fucking god, this is they don't have all the same kinds of computer builds to test with, that kind of deal. Especially for smaller developers, right? For smaller developers, a lot of times it's like, well, we have a lot of NVIDIA cards on our development machines. We don't have AMD cards or Intel cards, different CPU types. So yeah, like that's another thing too. It's like early access is kind of a nifty way to get a kind of neatly distributed series of opportunities for playtesting. Well, I think like a wide variety of builds and OSs, you know, people on Linux, that kind of thing. That's why that optimization can really hone in on. I'm sure too there are, I mean, I'm not ignorant to think that there are instances where a developer will find a bug or they'll find a thing that's maybe not super optimized and they'll say, well, we can ship it in early access in this state, no one's going to kill us. So long as we address this later, it's not as high a priority. We'd rather prioritize this thing that crashes the game, you know, like here's the thing that is slow, maybe a little bit buggy, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not crashing the game. It's not blue screening people's computers. But we are going to prioritize this thing over here that is blue screening things or crashing things because that's a harder issue to deal with. Oh, I know that kind of situation happens too. It's better if you have a big community, right? And that's where like the really big streamers, you know, they are more likely to have that. They're more likely to have the that kind of bank of viewership to expect, even if it's a game that they're not used to playing. You know, you take a Fortnite streamer, you take a League of Legends streamer that has normally 1,000 viewers. If they stream a non-League of Legends game or a non-Fortnite game, their viewership will inevitably drop, of course, but they'll still have, like you said, Will, that like kind of basis of viewership to expect that will generally show up regardless of what they're playing. So that definitely helps for like branching out. But yeah, but if you're small time, it's tricky. If you're small time like I am, like Whale and I are, it's tricky for folks like us. And of course, for folks like us, you know, streaming is not a significant part of our income, so it's certainly not for mine. So there's no pressure in that sense. You know, if I have a stream that has low viewership, it's not an issue. I'm not going to struggle to pay rent. But for those top tier streamers that were generally streaming as a big part of their income, there is that kind of added stressor to it. The distribution of Twitch is weird. It's a weird one. I mean, Twitch has it, YouTube has it. It's kind of just baked into the core experience. Oh man, there it was again where the glide just didn't deploy. It's kind of one of the core tenets of content creation, where the big dogs will generally always have like some ease of a like expected viewership. And for the and they get, you know, a pretty good chunk of the overall viewership pie, you know, as far as that viewership market share is concerned. You know, the big dogs will always be eating pretty good. They'll always get the lion's share, and the rest of us small timers are kind of fighting over scraps, you know, relatively speaking. But it's no one's fault. It just, you know, again, I feel like that's just, it's kind of baked into the ecosystem. How do people have fun in a stream of 20,000 people? Yeah, I've definitely had that too, where like, yeah, you're watching a stream that has so many people, it's hard to keep up, hard to have a conversation, hard to keep up with chat. I mean, and usually in cases like that, the viewers aren't really there for a chatter experience. They're more just to watch watch the streamer and just kind of vibe up, maybe like shitpost in chat or something like that. But they're generally not there for a communal experience. Well, I shouldn't say communal, but they're usually not there to be hanging out in chat. Usually they're there to like be part of the spectacle, you know, to view the spectacle of the stream, to watch the streamer rage or pop off or have a sick ass moment, which is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh my god, I'm getting bodied. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not trying to say that one viewership experience is better or less valid than the other, or that my way of watching a stream is better than anyone else's. But it is different, yeah, because when I usually watch a stream, I'm more in it for hanging out, like, in chat and being part of the community versus just being a sea of kind of nameless voices that where the streamer can really never truly engage with them in the traditional sense. The way that you typically engage with an audience. Play what you want, yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like, you know, it's if you're just down to just like play a game and vibe out and just do whatever, then yeah, obviously the general wisdom is to stream whatever and not really give a shit. But if the goal is to attract new viewers and to expand an audience, then it does pay to be a little just be mindful of the challenges that come with streaming certain categories. Because yeah, if I stream a category that is very oversaturated, whether it be Subnautica 2 or League of Legends or Counter-Strike, you know, I just have to be aware that it's an added challenge.
Failed me, Raziel.
I wonder, Old One, did you truly resurrect me, or were you simply there when I awakened from my torment in the abyss? I suspect you found me merely convenient, dropped in your lair by Kain, indestructible for some reason.
Actually, I think that eyeball looks better. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Tool for you to manipulate. This one thing I readily admit. I have been used by others time and again, but always I seem to stray from their path. What is it about me, demon, that makes me such an unreliable instrument? Why do I survive one trial after another, on and on, in an endless succession of humiliating deaths and resurrections? It seems there is much more to my destiny and my history than I know. Perhaps more than you know as well.
I'm a little bit surprised that that Cthulhu fella had nothing to say to that. Like, really, bro? Nothing? You got nothing on that one? Ooh. On the precipice of getting banished to the Shadow Realm. So I just want to watch you shit yourself, Alex, from Thalassophobia. I mean, Subnautica 2 looks like a scary game. Well, I know Subnautica 1 was a scary game for sure. Anything over 50 is tricky. I would say, for me, 50 is the sweet spot. 50 is, like, pretty good. Like, chat's moving enough for conversations to flow, but not so much where you, like, get lost in the noise. 50 to 100 for me is the sweet spot, I would say. After that, it starts to get a little bit wobbly. I mean, I've been in chats before where there's, like, 200 streamers, 200 viewers, and not, like, 200 active chatters. Maybe, like, 30 active chatters. So the viewership is high, but like, the chat is, like, actually pretty chill. Doesn't happen super often, but it has happened in the past. The annoying about this is that there's all these bad guys to fight, but none of them give souls. Which is to say, so no opportunities to get our health back. So we're just kind of slowly eking out health with every combat because, yeah, there's been no opportunity to get health back. Good news is that there, I'm sure, is a physical conduit here pretty soon. Coming in pretty soon here. Give him the suck. And there we go. Yeah, I'm usually there for, like, streamers first instead of watching specific games. I would say that's generally how I am as well. That's generally how I tend to operate when I'm watching a stream. But there have been times in the past... Uh-oh, I don't like this. I'm gonna go backwards, see if I can find a physical conduit. Because I don't want to fight these guys in the spirit realm. If I die to those guys, I'm dead. We have to respawn. Which wouldn't be the end of the world because we just had a save point, but... probably easier to find one over this one. But I've definitely had instances in the past where I've been looking for... It's like there's a game I'm interested in. Maybe it just came out. Maybe it hasn't had a new update. Or maybe I'm just in a mood to watch a particular thing. And I look on a category first. And I look for somebody... Maybe not with 0 viewers. And also not maybe with somebody with 1,000 viewers. Maybe somewhere in the 5 to 10 or 10 to 20 range. Yeah, watching chat just flash by. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, it's not my kind of thing. Unless it's like a big... Like, it's a big event stream, you know? Like, Games Done Quick is a good example. I like watching the GDQ streams from time to time. If I'm watching them, I'm not generally watching the chat as much. I'm generally watching, you know, the main window. And, like, sometimes it's funny, like, when the chat pops off in some way. Like, you know, there can be moments where it's, like, kind of... There can be an entertainment factor to that. But, yeah, usually when it comes to, like, GDQs or... Yeah, some kind of, like, special event stream. You know, Jerma does his special event streams. Varg Skeletor with his, like, with some of his stuff, Vine Sauce with his corruption streams. Like, those streams garner a lot of viewers. And in those cases, yeah, I'm watching those streams. Not quite as much for the chat experience. I'm mostly there to, like, kind of view the spectacle, but not necessarily feel like I'm contributing anything. I'm really just watching it as it's happening. Whereas, yeah, when it's like a viewership of like 50 or 100, then I can feel like I can actually contribute. The streamer might see my message, and it's a, you know, it's a different experience, and in some ways a more fulfilling one, at least. But it's a different experience compared to, yeah, like the 1,000 plus streamer or viewership stream, where I'm just I'm in a sea of kind of nameless faces. I mean, I've got a screen name, but you know, like generally nameless faces. Get up, I'm just like, get the health back. Suck. The skull suck. Right. What's the point of roasting the streamer if they can't read your message? What's the point of bullying the streamer if they can't read your message and ejaculate involuntarily? Like, what's even the point? Don't bully me, I'll come. You know, that's the classic right there. Check out some Subnautica too. I mean, it looks good, especially if they like the first game. I think if they like the first one, the second one seems like a no-brainer. What's up, Shock Value? I like the shitpost, but I like to stay for the shenanigans, for the chaos. Can be hard to show emotion. I don't know. I know like the stereotypical streamer thing is to be like, oh fuck, chat, let's fucking go. Oh, YouTube face. Like, I know that's the stereotype. But I don't think that's necessary, you know? I don't think you have to feel like everything is pop-off worthy. I think being chill is perfectly reasonable. But it's different, you know? Every person that streams on Twitch or does YouTube content, whatever, you know, everyone does it differently. I know there are the stereotypes, and I know there are things that a lot of the popular dudes and dudettes do. Not all of them, but there are things that a lot of people seem to do that appear to give success. You know, it's generally understood that, yeah, it's a good idea to have a webcam. It's a good idea to have a microphone, but you don't need to. You know, I mentioned Varg Skeletor and Vine Sauce. Those guys hardly ever use their webcam. Very, very rare does Vinny ever show his face on stream, or does Joel show his. So, you know, there are things that are in some ways traditional and generally are what successful folks do, but not always. You don't need a stream schedule. You don't need a bunch of emotes and shit like that, you know, like you don't need everything that the big dogs have. So I don't know, I would say that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily get it in your head, this idea of, oh shit, I have to like do something that I'm not really into to have a successful stream, or have a, you know, to have a stream I'm proud of. Because if you're not feeling the like, yeah, big explosive emotional outbursts, like, I don't think it's necessary. And to be honest, some people are put off by that kind of thing anyway. I would say generally I am, especially if it feels forced. Like, if someone is genuinely, oh, like, popping off, it can be fun. But I think most people have a pretty good sense for when they're forcing it. So I don't feel like you have to fake it. Cthulhu said it's not that deep. Yeah, I just like how he was silent. All he said was, you have failed me, Raziel, and then said nothing else. It's entirely possible that Cthulhu fella, maybe he's the one summoning these demons. In fact, Raziel even called him a demon. But I don't know. I'm not so sure if that's what's going on here.
He thinks he can change his destiny. What a fool.
What could the evil fella, or not the demon fella say to make me think he's not evil? It's weird because he resurrected us, which on the one hand seemed like a homie move, but it's very clear that basically everybody in this whole series has ulterior motives for doing anything for or with Raziel. We killed all 3 of the fire demons really quick, by the way. We got an achievement for killing them in less than a minute. So yeah, he resurrected us. Cool. But why did he resurrect us? Did he really believe in us as a savior and saw our potential, or did he have ulterior motives and he saw us as a means to an end? It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if it was the latter. Also, by the way, by this point in the timeline, of course, the pillars are still uncorrupted. Lord needs to talk to an empty room, yeah. I'll tell you what helped me with that. learning to talk to an empty room, learning to commentate when there's no one else to commentate to, was doing YouTube. Oh, hello. Let me just walk by our guy here. What's going on? Let me just waltz on in. Because yeah, when I did YouTube, which is to say not stream on YouTube obviously, but just the like YouTube Let's Plays, is that, you know, when you do like it, when you're recording a YouTube Let's Play, of course there's no audience there that you're talking to in the meantime. You know, you're just talking to yourself with the expectation that you'll eventually upload it to YouTube, and then people will comment later. But yeah, the idea is, you know, when you're doing like a Let's Play, and I'll take the other guy's soul. There we go. I'll take that. Is that you're doing commentary with the expectation of reacting to those comments after the fact. So, you know, when you do that kind of thing, you do that kind of style of commentary of you record by yourself, no one else to talk to, and you're anticipating what might other people say, what might other people react to or comment on, or think what would be potentially engaging commentary. Yeah. It's a different vibe than Twitch, where, you know, there's the chance that someone could be right there and could react immediately to what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that every person who streams on Twitch needs to have that background, but that did help me a lot when it came to kind of getting used to that rhythm of giving commentary that is, you know, that ideally has a give and a take. You know, there are comments to react to, there are people here that I can kind of bounce off of, versus just being left to my own devices, just coming up with shit on my own, which, let's be real, can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to come up with commentary out of thin air. Some games I think make it easier. I think some games, I've said before that some games stream better than others, and I do believe that. I don't think it means that you can't stream certain games, but I think certain games lend themselves better for being easier to comment on, easier to like come up with things to say. But yeah, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it is legit tricky. Nameless faces or faceless names. Actually, faceless names is more appropriate in that context. You're absolutely right, Aleph. Or that was Whale that said that. Faceless names instead of nameless faces. All around me are familiar names. Worn out faces. Worn out screen names. I wonder if I need this. Actually, no, I have the fire one right now. You know what? Yeah, I will grab this one. I will grab it. What if he's just lying? I mean, it's possible. I mean, in Soul Reaver 1, we definitely awakened suddenly from being dead in his chamber. So it would be a little bit unusual for him to have faked it. I'm not going to say it's impossible, though. I mean, like Raziel said, maybe he just happened to be there when we awoken from some other means. I'm not going to say it's impossible. Would be a little bit surprising if that was like the... You know, that was the vibe. Just chilling and lurking, yeah. You know, and I appreciate that, Aleph. Yeah, no, I always appreciate the lurks. That's the thing too. Like, you know, you never know who's listening in. You might. What I usually tell people is like, it's not a bad idea to be aware of the viewership at a given time, but also know that the viewership numbers will lie to you, or they maybe not lie, but they won't give you the full picture always. Now, you know, you can have the viewership numbers, whether it be OBS or Streamlabs or Twitch's dashboard. You know, you can have like the numbers available to you. You can even have the viewer list in front of you at all times, and that's all well and good, but it's not going to tell you the full picture, because, you know, it takes like 30 seconds, or it makes like, I think even longer than that. I think it takes like a minute or two for the viewership list to refresh. The list of viewers, if you like pop out the viewer list, that whole deal. I know I'm gonna fall down the minute I go to attack this guy. We don't have to kill all these guys, but I feel like there's gonna be more instances where I have to kill them. So I'm trying to get good, because I'm still clearly struggling against these guys. So what the mentality I typically have is, you never know who's watching, you never know who's lurking, you never know who could be listening in. It's like, I can't move. Actually, I'm gonna stay here so I can grab that. Slowly, there we go. And then I'm gonna toss this guy. Take out my sword. Finish these guys off myself. But no, anyway, just to kind of finish the thought. Just to kind of finish the thought, yeah, you never know who's watching. You never know who might be listening in or lurking. Also, I think Twitch is weird about how it counts lurk viewers sometimes. Sometimes the screen names don't show up if they've been lurking for a while, or if they've been like idle for a while, if the window's been idle, or if they're on a different tab, but they might still be listening in. So yeah, their viewership number might not count, and also their screen name might not show up. So yeah, so like, don't always feel too disheartened by a small number on Twitch or by a seemingly little chat activity, because there could still be other folks chilling that you're not aware of, and are like still very much engaged, but maybe not in a way that is like super obvious at least. Like, hoping I could just smack him off. The snow physics are kind of fun. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing fancy. I'm just happy we can at least move around freely and not having to deal with being in the swamp. So I can move my body freely, which is much nicer. What's gonna happen when we get back to the Seraphan stronghold? I don't think there's any more time travel. I think this is the last time travel thing we do. Turn the viewer counter off, yeah. I usually recommend, it's not a horrible idea to have an idea. Maybe in the long term, maybe like it doesn't really matter too much while you're streaming it. But I usually at least try to check my viewership after a stream has ended. So is that way I can be like, all right, yeah, like what games tend to do better? You know, what things like, yeah, starting time, or well, starting time isn't really helpful for me because I'm kind of limited on when I can stream necessarily, but as are most of us because of real life responsibilities. But I try to be mindful of like, yeah, what games do well, what kinds of things do better, single player versus multiplayer, the genre of game I play, how long I stream, you know, those kinds of things, or what days I stream. So I try to be mindful of them, but yeah, I would say you don't really need the live counter, the live viewer counter while you're streaming. And actually, if you turn it off, that kind of makes it doubly important that you don't that like you consider kind of what I was saying earlier, where it's like, you know, you never know who's watching, who might be lurking or who might be chilling. That makes it like doubly mysterious, dare I say, maybe even a little sexy. The sexual, the raw sexual, what's the word I'm looking for, tension, the raw sexual tension of the streamer playing a video game and the unknown viewer that is watching ominously from beyond the veil, watching them delicately, tantalizingly, sensuously. Maybe some frozen Pop-Tarts. I've never actually done the frozen Pop-Tarts thing. Done room temperature, done toasted. Never actually tried them frozen before. Kill 3 sorceresses in a row without being hit. We're getting some weird achievements. I guess this means we're getting near the end game if we're getting like a bunch of the weird stuff. There's 4 in a row, baby. The sexual thrill. What is my schedule? I used to have a more dedicated schedule. Back when I lived by myself, it was a little bit easier. But now that I got the old ball and chain, now that I'm married, and you know, and of course I live with my wife, obviously. Yeah. You know, it's not just me anymore. You know, it's not just my schedule. I'm trying to be mindful of. You know, I'm trying to make sure I'm giving time for her. And it also means that, you know, before we got married, you know, we had like predetermined, like, you know, we would definitely hang out on weekends a bunch. We would definitely hang out throughout the week. But there were some days of the week where I was like guaranteed to be home in the evening. There we go. I was like waiting for that opportunity to turn the tide a little bit. There were certain days of the week where I was guaranteed to be home in the evening. Certain days of the week where I was guaranteed to be with Gracie. So yeah, inevitably that does mean that my kind of like, especially on weekdays, my day-to-day is a little bit more like, you know, beholden to kind of what our plans are for after I'm done with work. Do we need to go grocery shopping? Do we have any extracurricular shenanigans going on? Any social obligations? And of course, also just, you know, just hanging out with Gracie. You know, let's watch something. Let's, you know, I don't know, take the dog for a walk. You know, just cute coupley things. Ow. The sorceresses. Bonk. Bonk. Which is probably how it goes for a lot of folks. You know, just that dynamic kind of shifts a little bit. Blunk. And blunk. Hiya. Blunk. The jukes.
Guard me, brothers. Guard me, brothers.
I don't think there's anyone left. I think you're the only one, lady. God, me brothers. There's no brothers. Or sisters. I think we can just hop on in. I think we need... Oh, does that have to be the... It might have to be the fire one, actually. What's this one over here? 500k. Oh, 500k, baby. That is exciting. 500k, man. Oh, man. You are wealthy beyond your wildest memes, Mr. Whale, with them kind of channel point numbers. Whale out here flexing as the 1% of channel point holders, that is. I've noticed that sometimes you crouch and you go to drop something, he like does the animation to drop it, but then just sometimes decides against it. Said, you know what? Nah, not gonna actually drop it. This will be our first time actually activating one of these pedestals. I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen. Also, my doofus self, I think I saved here, but I'm gonna do it just to be safe. It's bizarre that the way this game distributes... Actually, no, I had not saved here. The way this game distributes save points, there's a handful kind of scattered in this stretch of the overworld. In kind of an unnecessary sense, because as you're going from place to place, you don't really need to save that often. I feel like when I much more need to save during the dungeons. I think the dungeons are where things can get really spicy and really hairy. So it's a little bit unusual. Oh, so that's what melts it. Nice. That the overworld areas are where you get the save points. I feel like those are the times when you really don't need them nearly as much. Okay, so we melted that, and now we use the light reaver to open that door. Open the door. I think I have to go all the way across. Can I just make that jump? I'm not sure if I can make that jump. I'm a little bit short. I think I'm more than a little bit short. Oh, I got it. Gamer. That's me. The light fella. That's gonna miss. That should hit. Bling! 500. Nut. That'd be a lot of nutting. I'd sleep real good tonight, I'll tell you that much. I'd be very dehydrated from having to hit the buttons so much. That's a lot of repeated hand motions. That's of course why what I'm referring to there. Obviously.
Here it comes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, lady. Yeah, all that nutting. Right. I would be... There'd be a lot of action. Yeah, exactly.
Guard me, brothers. Guard me, brothers.
About that. Whoop. Get a standard kill against her so I can get some health back. Blah. Man. Got me, brothers. And then you turn back and you see there are no bros. Surprised that they're able to at least shoot through the wall like that. Oop. Flung myself in the water. That little scooping motion makes it look like they're about to, like, they're trying to scoop up a snowball or something. That little, like, they go, like, up, and then they kind of reach down, like they're scooping up a snowball. Snowball fight! But magic. Magic snowball fight. Magic balls. Speaking of magic balls. Oh, come on. I want to see it knock them backwards. I want to see it knock them up. I'm just trying to knock these guys up. Is that so wrong? Is it wrong to want to knock up these guys? Like that. There we go. Bonk. Bonk. They got their penises out. Swords out. They got their swords out. Ow. 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 I was really banking on me being able to kick the shit out of them so I can get that sword. There we we go. That's what I was hoping you'd do. Yeah. Health. Thank you. Legacy of Kain, more like legacy of Impra, yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of like a way that would fit in nicely to the titles.
Seize him.
Impra Goman. Actually, I'm gonna fight you first, lady. Dead. I appreciate that the sorceresses do not have a lot of health. Ow. Ow. Get fucking decapitated, please. Thank you. Please and thank you. And actually, since we're chilling back there, I'll just use that as an opportunity. Ow. Opens the door. Another instance of a combat you need to deal with in order to proceed. Pretty sure it was this one here. Can't skip that one. Pregante of Kain. There you go. Legacy of yeah, well, Gregnacy. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to make a Gregnet joke because Gregnet is one of my favorite ones. How do I know if I'm Gregnet? That's when you're impreg, but your name is Gregory. You become Gregnet. Oh, there it is.
Inexplicably, I discovered the Reaver suspiciously laid across my path. Again, I sensed nothing of that temporal distortion, the peculiar sense
that is unexpected
I had felt when I encountered the Reaver in William's chapel. Cornered here with the blade, I suffered the same nameless dread that I had experienced when Janos first presented the Reaver to me. I felt at once repelled by the blade, and yet overwhelmingly compelled to seize it.
And fondle it.
So, Raziel, here we are, finally. You have no choice but to confront me now, and I am not so foolish as I've let you believe. We have business to conclude.
You knew I would lead the Seraphim to Janos, you vile bastard.
Yo, what's up, Frax? Good to see you, bud.
My every move. My destiny is an amusement to you.
It was fun while it lasted. I think not, Raziel. Malik, do not let this...
So this is Malik. Okay, we've heard that name before.
...poses a danger to the Circle. Poor, deluded Raziel. Did you somehow imagine you had the guile to change history on me? I'm the Time Streamer. I knew your every intention before you did, you imbecile.
Lord Mobius, there is trouble within. The Circle is under
Hold
attack.
fast, Malik. This one is the real danger to us.
What are you trying to concoct here, Mobius?
You toss.
What cockery is this?
Did you imagine I'd simply allow you to run loose?
Maybe.
Corrupting everything you encounter.
I admit that I've underestimated you to this point, Mobius. But it's a mistake I won't repeat.
Wrong again, Raziel. Now, Malik, bolt the door.
Although I got to fight that guy.
Using his staff to disable my Wraithblade, Mobius effectively disarmed me, leaving me with only one choice of weapon. And yet I confess, it was not the lack of options, but blind rage that made me take up the Reaver. In my fury, it felt as though my hand had acted of its own will. And now, that same hand clutched the hilt with unyielding strength, and I felt a constrained tingling, a remote but palpable sense of longing, as the disabled Wraithblade tried vainly to embrace its physical twin.
Part of the intro to the opening of... part of the intro to Blood Omen. That's cool. Alright, so now we have...
Now that I had taken it up...
Oh, I can't drop it.
Reaver and I were inescapably joined. The harder I tried to release the blade, the more tightly my hand gripped the hilt, as if possessed of its own will.
Yeah, I can't throw it. But otherwise, it is the same general weapon, and it's the same general general moveset, which is cool. If I try to drop it, can't do it. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see what our other options are then. But yeah, part of the intro to Blood Omen. Good to know. Sounds like I really ought to play that at some point. Ideally, some point soon. We still have Defiance, though. Legacy of Kain Defiance to look forward to. I was hoping we would get some time as Raziel with the Soul Reaver in hand. The physical Soul Reaver in hand. Right, we wouldn't actually see Raziel. A lot of these things will be happening in the background.
Back to hell with you.
Yeah, I assume that was Vorador we were
I
hearing.
recognize these two as my former brethren.
The
in
Malik.
life as Sarafan, and in unlife as Kain's vampire sons. Melchiah and Zephon, the weakest of Kain's brood.
So those were
These bastards had no idea what future lay in store for them.
Those were two of the bosses from the first
Become
game.
the very
Malik is still
thing
elsewhere.
So despised. The Reaver hummed with ravenous anticipation. Janos had called it a vampiric blade, endowed with the power to drain its victims of their lifeblood. I was eager to see what the Reaver would do to these two.
I guess canonically this is how these two characters die. Ow. 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 These guys are not really any different than like just the usual human dudes, but they are more entwined, so it would seem. Ow. It's hard to just fight one. Oh, like I smacked the other guy out. Oh my god. Ow. It's hard to separate them. Fight mono a mono. One. Then devour. Gave me a full heal, I think. Ow. Ow. Oh my god. Camera. There we go. No, it gets a little bit sloppy when we're in these closer quarters. Yep. 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 Ow. Oh my god. I'm getting my ass kicked. Oh my god. Now I do notice I'm losing no health. I'm losing no health right now, so maybe that's like part of the power of the Soul Reaver. Which is to say the physical one. I think I had lost some health with that first fight, but with this, I guess because we absorbed the dude's soul, they give us some extra stuff. Actually, was I able to absorb it, or did the Soul Reaver claim it?
Zephon fell before my blade. I felt the Reaver's bloodthirst as keenly as I ever had when I was still a vampire. I could sense the boundary between us dissolving. The Reaver was consumed with my rage, and I was intoxicated by its bloodlust. The blade had a vitalizing effect on me. My physical energy no longer decayed over time.
And it's healing you, right.
The wounds inflicted by my foes healed almost instantly. The Reaver had made me invincible.
And conveniently, the door opens. And of course, I can't switch on my weapons. Can't pick up their sword or their spear. We're just keeping at it. Keep on keeping on, brothers. Which I think was this one? This one is all lockified. Can't just grab that one. Probably a different one then. Yeah, I think you're right though, Frax. I mean, we're of course vaguely familiar with the Stronghold. The Seraphan Stronghold. We've been through here once. I guess twice before, actually. It's our third time through in the third kind of timeline of sorts. The third era. The first one was the starting timeline, which I guess was, what was it, 30 years before the events of something. It was maybe 30 years before the events of Soul Reaver 1, or maybe 30 years before the events of Kain's Ascension. But it was kind of in the past. And then the second era was centuries in the future. And then this one, of course, is way in the past, like even before the first era.
Have you come to reclaim the monsters?
That's probably Malik.
You'll have to get through us first.
Not sure who the sword guy is though.
My former brethren, Duma and Rahab, confronted
Ah, Doom. Okay, the Doom on Rahab. Okay.
This all seems so elegantly choreographed. Exhilarated by the
These are the
Reaver,
same bosses, or the dudes who were the bosses from Soul Reaver 1.
I could finally appreciate the delicious irony of Kain's blasphemous private joke, and I reveled as I colluded with him across the centuries. For it was I who put these bastards in their tomb, thus providing the corpses for Kain to raise as his vampire sons
Right.
a millennium from now.
So kind of bringing it full circle with Soul Reaver 1. We were saying previously we weren't sure how the Seraphon died necessarily. I assumed Kain had killed them. Now. I assumed Kain had killed him. I gotta say, these guys are being smart in that they are much more, like, attuned with each other. The other dudes, they tend to lunch line, kind of one after the other. They kind of queue up and fight you single-handedly, or like kind of one-on-one, and they kind of take turns. These guys are smart in that they are much more inseparable. It's a shame that the bad guys didn't really take this. Well, I mean, it's actually good for us. It's good. It's a shame for them that they never really attempted this tactic until this late in the game, when we have this invincibility kind of added into our arsenal. Ow. This would be a very annoying fight without this invincibility. Ow. There's one. Yeah, we didn't even have to consume the soul or slurp it up. We just kind of blinked out, and we're all good. We got the goods. Ow. Oh, that was actually. How did I do that? Was that the? You do it. I was gonna say there's that uppercut attack. I didn't think the uppercut attack actually launched them upwards, because I tried it once before. So I'm not actually sure how I did that. Dead. I kicked him into being vulnerable. But yeah, I just assumed that Kain had killed those guys, but upon further reflection, it kind of makes sense that we're the ones that killed them, because we've seen in Legacy of Kain Ascendance, which I guess means we've had something spoiled for us, of course, but seeing it out of order still makes it fascinating. It's like I'm still interested in it. So it's not really a true spoiler. In Legacy of Kain Ascendance, we know that Raziel is the one that approaches human Raziel. No, it's not human Raziel. But in Legacy of Kain Ascendance,
Get back to the pit, you crawl.
this Raziel confronts human Raziel
Last was my brother Turel.
and has to fight his way to reach him.
Would bear me into the abyss without questioning Kain's command. So dutiful and righteous, even as a vampire. I guess some habits die hard. The vampire Turel had eluded my vengeance. The Seraphon Turel would not.
Yeah, so Turel was never in the first game. Was never in Soul Reaver, that is. You know, I feel like I read somewhere when I was doing some research for this game, for the series, that yeah, there was some stuff that was cut from the first Soul Reaver. And there was some mention of, like, yeah, a boss that never made it in the game, and maybe that's what this was going. Maybe that's who this is, or that's who this would have been. Is Turel being in Soul Reaver 1 being like a vampire boss? I find it interesting that yes, of course we know that all these Seraphon brothers of the warrior priests. When I hear the term warrior priest, I of course think clerics. But we know that eventually these guys get raised by Kain and become vampires against their will, of course. Get resurrected to get turned into vampires, and the presumption is that when you get turned into a vampire, when you get raised from the dead and turned into a vampire, you have no memory of your past self. So no memory of your past and what you were up to previously. If we need this, although we really can't use it if we wanted to. Right, he was cut from Soul Reaver 1, right. It's kind of cool that they're still included lore-wise. It's like, oh yes, his vengeance escaped me in my previous escapades, but I won't. He won't escape my vengeance in this context. All right, so we probably need to go there eventually. I'm gonna see if this door leads me anywhere. Yeah, I wonder if that's an opportunity. I wonder if that's an opportunity. If there's like stuff that could be done with that in the future. Whether it be another Legacy of Kain game or other like time distortion, time travel stuff, or if it's just something that kind of is left unfulfilled. Hard to say. Yeah. Go check. I'm gonna check that one big room because this actually might lead somewhere. This actually might be where we're going. No idea. Actually, no, I do know. I do know why Automod caught that. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Meerkat. Automod got scared. Automod's a big scaredy cat. Oh, here it is, here it is. Yeah, why did we start the series? Well, part of it... Oh, this one's locked. Oh, needs a big old key. Okay, so we have to keep exploring that. Yeah, so we started this duality of remastered games. So we started Soul Reaver 1 Remastered like a year and a half or so ago. Because we got a review key for the collection. For Remastered 1 and 2, that is. And that was just because I was always interested in the series. I had a couple folks recommend them to me. And I knew there was a commonality or some common thread between the Legacy of Kain series and Eternal Darkness, the developer for Eternal Darkness. Because some of the folks that worked on Eternal Darkness also worked on the Legacy of Kain game. So it was a series I was always kind of curious about. We got the Remastered collection. There's Human Razio, by the way.
Oh, vampire, here we are.
So I was just kind of curious to try it out.
My brethren, and now you've come for me. You'll find I'm not such easy prey.
I bet he is easy prey.
But I will if I must. Return the heart to me, and we can end this now. So, you've come to avenge that filthy parasite and reclaim his foul heart. You're a righteous fiend, aren't you? Apparently I am. No, vampire. This is where it ends, but you won't be leaving this room. Now, let's finish this. I'll make it mercifully quick. As you did for Janos? No, that beast had eluded us for far too long. It would have been a shame to end him too quickly. It's ironic, really. The great Janos Ordrin turned out to be no challenge at all. Thanks to you. Did you hear his cowardly screams when I tore that black heart out of his carcass?
Now, it seems like... And maybe this is like a slight bummer. It's a slight bummer that really all of the fights against the Seraphan dudes, the human dudes, they've just been like slightly elevated versions of the human fights we've already been doing. It would have been, I think, a little bit more interesting if they would have been like a little bit more unique. Like, this guy is definitely like a juicier version of the human fights. But he has the same moves, he's a little bit faster. And has presumably a lot of the same, you know, vulnerabilities. And of course, by this point, we're invincible anyway, so it kind of doesn't really matter. I don't think it's really possible to fail this. Seems like he never like blocks the lower kick move. But yeah, the fact that we're invincible kind of removes any sort of urgency from this one. Now, it would have been interesting if they would have made these fights a little bit different. It makes me wonder if there's going to be truly just no boss battles. I figured there'd be like some kind of like big fight at the end. Some kind of like something special or unique in some way that was like elevated. And this is like a little bit elevated, but it's also kind of I don't know, kind of nerfed in its drama, at least, you know, just given that there's, you know, no real sense of urgency here. Like now the drama is interesting. The idea of Raziel, the Reaver, the Wraith form that we've been familiar with, of course, this whole time, being facing off against the human form, the Seraphan version, doing what you would expect to be, committing what you would expect to be like a what's the word, like a paradox, the idea of being the source of his own demise. But again, this might be still just kind of how it's all ordained to be. Yeah, it was all meant to go from the get-go. Truth is, kid, the game was rigged from the start. Yeah, a lot of health, I'll tell you that much. This fight would be really tricky if we didn't have invincibility. I'd have to, like, really get good. I was saying earlier that was the reason why I was taking all that extra time.
I renounce you.
I was taking all that extra time to fight those other guys just because I figured we'd have to hone our skills. But not so much an issue here.
And so it ends. My history.
But yeah, we saw in Legacy of Kain Ascendance the other side of that fight, and we know that Wraith Raziel emerges victorious there.
Twin, the Wraith blade uncoiled itself from me, and instead wound lovingly around its former self.
Lovingly.
I felt the grip loosen, and as the blade left me, its absence chilled me more than its presence ever had. A foreboding sense of emptiness and loss stole over me, and a terrible revelation gathered like a storm at the edge of my awareness. With all other foes exhausted, the conjoined blades turned themselves on me, and I realized, finally, why I had sensed nothing when Janos offered me the blade. The Reaver was never forged to be a soul-stealing weapon. The ravenous, soul-devouring entity trapped in the blade was, and always had been, me. This is why the blade was destroyed when Kain tried to strike me down. The Reaver could not devour its own soul. The paradox shattered the blade. So, this was my terrible destiny. To play out this purgatorial cycle for all eternity. I could not bear it. Despair overwhelmed me. You.
Are you enjoying this, Kain? Don't fight it, Raziel. Give into it. Was this your destiny for me all along? Trust me.
I felt myself weakening, unable to hold on any longer. The Reaver was too strong. The compulsion to simply let go, too great. And then, a growing sense of vertigo and the familiar displacement. The paradoxical moment when my twinned soul hovered both outside and inside the Reaver blade. This was the instant, the glimmer of temporal distortion Kain had been counting on all along. This was the edge of the coin, the minute flicker of probability upon which Kain had gambled everything.
Now you are free to reclaim your true destiny, Raziel.
That scream sounded like Metal Gear Solid.
Behind Kain's eyes,
that kind of scream.
dying as history labored to reshuffle itself around this monumental obstruction. And I could see by the dawning horror on his face that perhaps we had strained history too far this time. That by trying to alter my fate, he may have introduced a fatal paradox.
My God. The Hilden. We walked right into their trap.
The Hilton? Downtown? I mean, it's expensive.
Raziel,
There's other hotels.
Janos must stay dead. But Kain's warning was lost as I slipped into the spirit realm, too weak to maintain my physical form. And there, waiting for me as always, was the Reaver, the Wraithblade, my own soul, twinned and bound eternally to me. And I realized that I could never escape my terrible destiny. I had merely postponed it. History abhors a paradox.
An unexpected ending in some ways. I'm a little bit wobbly on why the Soul Reaver attacked us. I understand that, okay, we had this revelation that the Soul Reaver was our own soul, so why it attacked us, that I'm not sure I understood. Yeah, and Kain kind of saving us at the end there. I mean, it meant our soul didn't get claimed, but it did mean that we succumbed to our physical wounds that got sent to the spectral realm. And that Kain was trying to alter history, but by doing so, he's potentially put things on a weird path. It seems like he had some revelation. Kain had some insight into, like, oh shit, we might have fucked things up by causing a weird paradox situation that could potentially be more devastating, and said that Janos Audron has to die no matter what. Because of course, Raziel would, if there is an opportunity to alter the flow of time, Raziel would rather keep Janos alive. So there is that, at least. Were both Raziels kind of on the same side? In some ways. I mean, our guy had a blind rage, and the other guy was a, overly pious cleric bound to smite things that looked evil. So yeah, no side was gonna stand to reason. I mean, if we could have sat human Raziel down and truly explained, like truly demonstrated everything happening in the story, maybe they could have achieved some kind of common ground. But yeah, that ship had long since sailed, especially because Wraith Raziel was out for vengeance for, the fact that he killed Janos. Really the one person who could have shed more light on Raziel's origin story. To know who the Hyalden is. Right. I assume the Hyalden is maybe the name of that demon faction that was attacking us in the future and attacking us in this timeline as well. Maybe that's like the name of the demon lads that are attacking us, or just something totally different, totally separate. It has to attack us to get the ability to eat the souls. Oh, okay. The idea is the physical sword has to claim our soul to become the Soul Reaver, like or the spectral form of the Soul Reaver, I suppose. Like, that's the idea. That's how it should be in the story. I got you. Because yeah, that was the thing. In Soul Reaver 1, we of course, when the physical blade is struck against us, it shatters. We get the soul manifestation of it, and it's basically stays away the whole time. And in this game, we see it before all that happens. We see it as a physical weapon, before there was ever that like soul linked twin to it. Yeah. One thing that kept, I was joking about this the other day, how in Legacy of Kain Ascendance, when we see human Raziel's perspective of that confrontation, when you're controlling human Raziel and you are fighting against Wraith Raziel or Soul Reaver Raziel, whatever you want to call him, and you see how that confrontation plays out, it's a boss battle. And if I had to guess, I mean, in that boss battle, we got one attempt, because if you die, or maybe when you die, there is no try again. You get that same kind of scene where Wraith Raziel gets the kill, human Raziel is dead, and then, we move on with the main story. What happens if human Raziel wins? I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if human Raziel cannot win that fight. Maybe if, like, Wraith Raziel's health gets low enough, maybe he gets a health refill, because we do know that Wraith Raziel, he is invulnerable, or at least his health is getting restored the whole time. So maybe that fight plays out differently in Legacy of Kain Ascendance. If you do well enough in the fight, maybe there's no way to win. But anyway, one thing that made me laugh a lot in that sequence is when human Raziel and Wraith Raziel are talking, you hear the voice actor for Raziel, who of course does both voices for both versions of that character in this game. You see human Raziel talk with the voice actor's current voice, which is 20 years, actually I guess 25 years after this game. This game was 2001, Ascendance was 2026, so that's a 25-year time gap. You can hear it in the guy's voice. He sounds old, or he sounds older, like he has kind of an older man timbre to his voice, which in some ways actually is kind of cool when you hear Raziel talk, because Raziel is this withered form. I think it's not horribly inappropriate, but then you hear human Raziel talk and he sounds exactly the same. And that made me laugh a lot in Legacy of Kain Ascendance, because you have that confrontation. You have human and Wraith Raziel, and they're going back and forth, and the human guy is trying to sound like pious and spiteful and pissed off and angry, but he just sounds normal. And Raziel as a Wraith also sounds normal, so it's just one guy arguing with himself. It's just the same voice, like completely. I mean, I know you can tell he's trying, and I'm glad. It's cool that they involve the same voice actor, but like, it just kind of feels a little silly. It feels a little cartoonish, where it's like, ah, yes, old man kind of argues with himself. I think what they should have done is, I think they should have had the original voice actor, the guy that does Raziel's voice in this game. They should have kept him with Wraith Raziel, but I think they maybe should have gotten someone else to done human Raziel's voice in Ascendance, because it's supposed to be a very dramatic moment, and it's kind of silly. It's kind of funny when they really don't mean for it to be. He is arguing with himself, you're right, but I think in this game it was a little bit more obvious when they were having that confrontation. I was hearing different inflections when human Raziel was talking versus Wraith Raziel. So I think it was done better here. I think it's easier for a younger person to throw in like different inflections to sound withered or to sound altered in some way, versus have an older gentleman sound younger. I think that's harder to do. So yeah. So on the whole, anyway, I know I'm just kind of waxing poetic here. On the whole, that does conclude Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2. I know I don't finish a lot of games on stream. I feel like I kind of bounce around to a lot of stuff, but we beat not just 1, but 2 Soul Reaver games in the span of, I mean, we didn't complete all of them in the span of a week, but we've beaten both in the span of a week, which is pretty impressive, I think. There is, of course, bonus content as well. So there's yeah, here we go. There's like concept art. It says bonus Soul Reaver 2 production. Yeah, character art, environmental stuff. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Story. So yeah, so if you really want to deep dive, there's a whole lot of deep diving. And if you had questions about certain aspects of the story, things that maybe seemed unclear, and you want to do some additional reading, there is this. Now, I don't know how much of this is canon, or if this is just conceptual stuff that was never fully fleshed out, but I mean, it seems pretty legit. Now, this is kind of cool, a list of the timeline. Yeah. And some of which we saw in this game specifically. Others, presumably, are presented in Legacy of Kain Ascendance, but Legacy of Kain Ascendance also does some retcons as well, for better or for worse. It's controversial. It is controversial, but there are some retcons that happen. Yeah, after the events of Blood Omen 2. Now, that's an interesting point. Blood Omen 2 was not out by the time of this game coming out. Or Soul Reaver 2, that is. Blood Omen 2, of course, was out by the time of the Remastered collection. But this is actually a more, I guess, holistic approach to the timeline before Legacy of Kain Ascendance's release. So I guess this is probably a full look at the timeline up to this game's release, the Remastered Collection's release, which would have been 2024. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Now, of course, I'm not going to look through all this, obviously. Yeah, Michael Bell, that's the guy who voiced Raziel. And you can tell, too, you know, looking at this picture, he was not a super young guy when he did the voice work for this game. So you can presume that, yes, 25 years in the, past there. It's kind of no wonder he sounds quite different. Richard Droll is a name I recognize. Tony J, I definitely recognize that name. We were talking about him not too long ago. Paul Lukather, was that the guy that did Kain? Rejoin Legacy of Kain, blah, 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 blah. Vorador. He did the voice of Vorador. Okay. If there's any other names I recognize. Templeman did Kain. Okay. I think that's kind of fun. Yeah. That's cool. This makes me happy to see. And honestly, I like Michael Bell's delivery as Rousey. I think he does a great job in this, in Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2. I think they did a great job. Yeah, Templeman did the voice of Kain. Kain's voice actor also very good. Very, very cool stuff. Yes, you got some OG renders. Oh, I love this shit kind of shit, man. This is my kind of shit. And this is the kind of stuff I would see in gaming magazines. You know, issues of GamePro, Tips and Trick magazine. This image, I've seen this image before. And I can already tell this one, of course, I've seen this before, is badass renders. This is what I would see about this game, and I'd be like, man, this looks so fucking sick. And it is. It is still very stylish. The game overall holds up. You know, what's the post-mortem, if you will, if you'll allow that expression, what's my post-mortem on this game and Soul Reaver 1 now that I've completed them both? This game, I think I liked, for the most part, versus Soul Reaver 1. I definitely have my nitpicks, and there were things... Nice T-post, by there were things that I didn't like as much compared to Soul Reaver 1. Now this is kind of cool. We're seeing the vampire versions of Melkia, which would... Or, Melkia? Yeah, Melkia. Melkia, which was the first boss in Soul Reaver 1. Rahab, which was the third boss. Yeah, that's the fish lad. There's Dumas, who was the last one. Torel was the cut guy. Where's the spider guy? Zephon was the spider guy. So yeah, we see these guys as like wildly mutated demon lads in Soul Reaver 1, but I don't think if we saw them ever as like standard vampire lads, if we ever saw these guys ever, I guess it would only been in cutscene form, certainly not in game. So that's kind of cool. There's Razio with his wings intact even. So no, I like the game as a whole, looking like a fallen angel here. I like this game as a whole. I wish I could Frankenstein the things I liked about Soul Reaver 1 and the things I liked about Soul Reaver 2 into like the ideal Soul Reaver experience. Because there were shortcomings that Soul Reaver 1 really suffered from that this game, Soul Reaver 2, did a better job of. And there were also things in Soul Reaver 2 that fell short that Soul Reaver 1 did a really good job on. So it's like, if I could just make them kiss. You know, kiss. Yeah. Yeah, you just call the Elder God, right? You just call the Elder God. No other name for him. Now, I've mentioned before how I really liked how Soul Reaver 1 had that exploration aspect. Kind of like a more... I mean, Metroidvania usually means there's some non-linearity to it. They're both fairly linear games, but at least the exploration aspect of Soul Reaver 1 encouraged you to kind of go off the beaten path sometimes. This game really was... I think I would say to its detriment. At first, I kind of liked it. It was refreshing. But I think to its detriment, this game was very... Go here, now go here, now go here. And there's really no delineation. You're not really allowed to go to do much else. I mean, you could, take your time. You can, fight the guys you don't need to fight. You can fuck around. But, like, there's nothing else to do other than just follow the story. Which, on the one hand, is cool. But by the end of the game, I kind of felt myself think to myself, it started to wear on me. And I think part of the issue is, instead of exploring new areas, you're seeing the same areas in different timelines, which is kind of neat. It's kind of cool, but I think I would have rather have seen completely new areas. You see the canyon area 3 times. You see the swamp area 3 times. Especially because some of those areas are kind of a pain in the ass. You heard me say over and over again, fucking hate the swamp, man. This place sucks. So seeing some of those same areas over and over again. Like, the Stronghold I didn't mind, and the general kind of foresty areas I didn't mind. But, yeah, there were some areas that were... Did I really need to see that 3 times in a row? Like, that felt a little bit unpleasant. Also, it felt a little bit front-loaded in the fact that you did 2 dungeons, 2 forges, in the first timeline, and then 1 forge in the second timeline, and then another, and then the 4th forge in the 3rd and final timeline. And that last forge was pretty short. This was something that Soul Reaver 1 also felt a little bit weird about. Some of those dungeons were kind of lopsided. The Silence Cathedral in Soul Reaver 1 took a really long time. We had to split that up into 2 streams because that was a long fucking dungeon. And there was a bunch of extra stuff we didn't even do in that dungeon. Whereas right after that was after that was the Drowned Abbey and then the Ruined City. Those were much quicker. It kind of reminded me of Secret of Mana, where Secret of Mana, those first couple dungeons or first couple temples are very well fleshed out and very interesting and very multifaceted. And then like the ones later in the game are a lot quicker and a lot of and kind of rushed almost. I don't want they say they felt rushed in this game or in Soul Reaver 1 for them. I don't think they felt rushed, but they definitely felt truncated. They felt a little abbreviated relatively. Also, also it's not lost on me. This is called Defiance Forest. There you go. Frax asking, are we going to start Defiance tonight? Probably not tonight. If I start Defiance tonight, I can only play it for like an hour. I want to give that a proper, fleshed out experience. So we'll play something else for like an hour or two tonight, just kind of round out the stream. But yeah, I want to make sure we give that like a proper start, So we fought our past self, right? We fought our past self, and we knew we were going to emerge victorious because we saw in Legacy of Kain Ascendance how that fight emerges. So yeah, so Wraith Raziel wins, and when he takes out Wraith Raziel, he of course kills him using the physical manifestation of the Soul Reaver. And up to this point, the physical manifestation of the Soul Reaver has kind of been separate from the spiritual version that we had in Soul Reaver 1 and most of Soul Reaver 2. But once we killed human Raziel, the physical manifestation of the Soul Reaver had like ascended to the point where it realized it needed to claim Wraith Raziel's soul in order to reach its final form, basically, where it can have the soul version and the physical version. Because to that point, it was just the physical version. Raziel realized the Soul Reaver has his soul in it. And for the Soul Reaver to ascend to its proper form, it needed Raziel's soul. So the sword like stabbed Wraith Raziel and tried to claim his soul. But at the last minute, Kain removed the sword from Raziel. He still had physical wounds, but it didn't claim his soul. And by Kain preventing that soul consumption from happening, it caused a potentially destructive time paradox, and that's where the game ended. It kind of ended on a cliffhanger of, okay, well, now that a horrible time paradox has happened that could fuck everything up, what are the implications? And we don't quite know yet, but we know Raziel's soul was not claimed. His physical body got fucked up, but he just got sent to the spirit realm. He can probably come back from that. What's that going to be? And we don't quite know. I'm guessing that either Blood Omen 2 or Legacy of Kain Defiance will explore that. I think Blood Omen 2 technically is before Legacy of Kain Defiance. I don't know if you have to play them in that order, or if the order matters necessarily. I think Blood Omen 2 you play only as Kain, and I think Defiance you play as both Kain and Raziel. I think you swap back and forth. And that's what we'll be playing next in the series, of course. That's that kind of lanky-ass walk looks kind of funny. More Rayman looking than anything else. Prokofiev shock value. I was gonna say I never played a lot of any Prokofiev, but I understand that is a he was a composer that was not easy. Prokofiev, and there's another one. There's another composer that I remember hearing was like particularly brutal for certain. I think for pianists in particular. It's the same name as an alternative keyboard configuration. It's the same name, not obviously a different person. Not Wagner. I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name. But yeah, there's a Dvorak. Thank you, Agasso. Yeah, Dvorak. That's another composer. I think for pianists in particular, learning Dvorak is not so easy. I never stuck with piano, so I never even attempted them. 20 years for resolution. Well, actually, no. So I think this game gets its continuation in a combination of Blood Omen 2 and Legacy of Kain Defiance. Both of those came not too long after this. This game came out in 2001. I think Defiance was like 05 or 04, maybe? Maybe even sooner than that. I think Blood Omen 2 was before that. I think Blood Omen 2 was like 03, maybe. Something like that. So, but I think after Legacy of Kain Defiance, I think that was the last entry in the series canonically until Legacy of Kain Ascendance happened. Yeah, and unfortunately, Legacy of Kain Ascendance pissed everybody off because of all the retcons. All the retcons, all the stuff that they kind of changed after the fact, all the new characters they suddenly introduced that we'd never heard of before. Raziel's sister, like that whole thing, feeling a little bit forced, obviously. There we go. And all right, so also that was a raid. That was a raid from Silence. Thank you for that raid, Silence, or Silency maybe. But thank you, Silence, for that raid. It's super nice of you, buddy. Thank you for raiding into us. Let me do a quick shout out for you. We actually just finished up with Soul Reaver 2. Oh, Gals beat me to the punch. We just finished up with Soul Reaver 2. We're just kind of doing a little post-mortem and reflection on the series. And also, this is the remastered version, of course. So we're looking at some of the concept art just to appreciate some of the cool stuff. I love seeing stuff like this. I love concept art, this kind of stuff, included in these remastered collections. I think it looks great. So Blood Omen, followed by Soul Reaver 1, followed by Soul Reaver 2, followed by Blood Omen 2, followed by Defiance, or is like the core series. Ascendance doesn't exist. Yeah, I think the general fandom has agreed that we don't count Ascendance. I think Crystal Dynamics would say it is canon, unfortunately, for better or for worse. I'll say this much about Legacy of Kain Ascendance. I haven't beaten it yet. And as someone who is... I think I can count myself as someone who enjoys the series. Am I a super fan? Am I like that up to snuff with the lore, with the story? No, I'm not, obviously. But I'm still kind of new to it. But I'll say this much. I don't mind the sister character. I know some people call her a Mary Sue. I don't mind her too much. And I don't even mind some of the retcons and some of the changes. I think there's some interesting things that it does with the story. Do I like all of it? No, but I think there's some interesting things that it does. And I'll say, I think gameplay-wise, it does some very interesting things. I think gameplay-wise, it's actually pretty... Some of it's not so great. Others are actually kind of cool. But I don't blame anybody for not liking it. I especially don't blame the Legacy of Kain faithful for dismissing that game. Like, if there's mega fans who see Legacy of Kain Descendants and go, fuck this game is garbage, I don't blame them. If I was a mega fan, I would, and if I was waiting 20 years from Legacy of Kain Defiance's release to Legacy of Kain Descendants, I get it. I can sympathize. But as a relative outsider, I'm insulated from some of that at least. But thank you though, Silence. If there was any clips you want to share, Silence, I really appreciate that raid. If there's anything yours you want to share with us, whatever people raid, I always see it as an opportunity because you've raided me, you've shown your peeps my content, which is great. The least I can do is have you show people have you show our people your content. So if there was something of yours you want to share with us, a Twitch clip or a YouTube short of yours, something like that you want to share with us, anything you are proud of, does not have to have been from tonight's stream. It could have been from weeks, months ago, years ago. I'm not picky at all. So if there was anything of yours you want to share, I'm super down. Super down. He says, Crystal Dynamics, yeah. I mean, we know they exist as a publisher at least. I can't remember the last time they developed a game. Yeah, there were better things that could have been done with Ascendance. It is disappointing, man. That's the bummer. It's like, because when I first heard about Ascendance, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like a cool little spin-off game. And then at some point I was like, oh, this is taking some wild-ass swings with the lore. It's swinging so fucking hard with the lore. And I respect the boldness. Say what you will about Crystal Dynamics, it takes fucking balls to take a sledgehammer to that game's lore the way that Legacy of Kain Ascendance does. Does it do so well or tastefully? Arguably, you could... I don't think anybody's out here defending the game. I mean, I feel like my opinions of the game are strongly mixed. Do I feel negative? Do I feel positive? You know, Steam review, right? Gun to my head, do I say positive or negative review? I would probably give it a negative review on Steam just because as a relative outsider, there were some real rough parts of the game gameplay-wise, especially like the first couple hours. But by hour 4, it started to win me over. So it's like, it's a hard sell if you have to tell somebody, bro, by hour 4, the game gets good, bro, I promise. But like, that's a hard sell. So, gun to my head, I would probably give it a negative review, but with some interesting caveats. And if you're like me, if you enjoy the series, but you're maybe not like super entrenched in it, there's some really interesting things to appreciate. And it's honestly just a fascinating case study. You take a series that is, let's be real, Legacy of Kain is not a household name for a lot of gamers. You pluck a Gen Z, a Gen Alpha Fortnite gamer off the street. You grab a Roblox player, you grab a Mario guy, you grab an enjoyer of Mario or Zelda games. You mentioned Legacy of Kain. I mean, okay, maybe a Legend of Zelda player might be generally aware, but like, and of course, if they're my age, they're probably aware. But yeah, most people, most modern gamers they might have like a cursory knowledge of the series. I would say, since I've been streaming this game, we raid somebody at the end of every stream. We raid somebody every time I stream this game, or every time I stream, rather. And it's been about half the time. It's been about 50% of the time of the people will raid will go, they'll see the game we were playing, they'll go, oh, Legacy of Kain, what's that? You'll hear them say like, oh, I don't think I've heard about that. Or sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, I've kind of heard, but I don't really know about it. So this is a cult classic series. This is kind of it's not that it's sold poorly or anything or that it's bad, but this never ascended the way that Zelda did, or, it never popped off in a lot of ways. So the community for this game it's relatively smaller, but it's probably more tight-knit and more dedicated, because you kind of have to be dedicated. That's how a cult classic typically works. It's like there's like enthusiasm for the series, and there's desire to there's a willingness to show it to more people, and there's enthusiasm that says more people need to know about this. I wish more people knew about this. Not a lot of Zelda gamers feel that way. There's not a lot of Zelda gamers, there's not a lot of Breath of the Wild enjoyers to say, man, I wish this game popped off more. Us Zelda guys, we're eating good. We've been eating good for like decades now. So you have the Legacy of Kain fandom that have stuck through the series thick and thin, for better for worse. And I'm sure the 20 years in between Defiance and Legacy of Kain's Ascendance's announcement was probably a bit of a desert. Probably a lot of like, we get the remasters, which is nice. You get the ports to Steam, to good old games. Oh man, remember the good old days. And then Ascendance get announced, and oh my god, a new entry. What the fuck? And it's so hype. And then the game comes out, and you're just like, this is not at all what any of us wanted, man. What the hell? So I'm sure that makes it just ball crushing. Just a complete bummer, man. Complete bummer. Silence says again, nothing to share. If you change your mind, it's the opportunity is open for you. It is always open, yeah, because there's no pressure, of course. But I do always love making that as an option, because when somebody raids me, it's like, that's so nice, that's so generous of you sharing your peeps with me. It's like, to me, it's like, what's something I can do in return? It's if you're sharing with peeps with me, I want to make sure I'm sharing my peeps with you. That way we get that cross pollination. That way everyone stands to benefit. That's just kind of how that goes. Yeah, Ascendance is, he says, yeah, I wish I could get that time back, man. Yeah. Yeah, Legacy Kain, maybe like a proper Metroidvania. Because, yeah, I feel like Soul Reaver 1 tickles the Metroidvania genre a little bit. There's a little bit of that Metroidvania in Legacy of Kain 1. I haven't played Blood Omen. I haven't played Blood Omen 2. We're about to start Defiance, probably in a day or two. Oh, that's a cool one. I like that one. But yeah, there's a lot that I think could potentially be done, and I think that's part of the bummer too. Is you play Legacy of Kain Ascendance, you see glimmers, I think, of some pretty cool stuff. There's a story stuff that I think is interesting. There's story stuff that I think is maybe not great, and kind of like, again, takes a sledgehammer to the series. But there's gameplay stuff that I think is really interesting. There's like ways certain things are depicted that I think as a not diehard fan, as just a casual, I think are fascinating. So there's glimmers of what could have been brilliance in Legacy of Kain Ascendance. That's kind of what makes it disappointing. Could they have done something like Ascendance, but made it a more proper Metroidvania, and maybe not have swung quite so wildly with the story and with the lore decisions? Like I can understand the idea of saying, you know what, it's been 20 years, let's take a fucking jackhammer to the series, story-wise, and break a bunch of shit up and leave some, maybe not plot holes, but leave some openings for future games to come in and fill the gaps. Like, because I'm thinking maybe that's what they were going for. They did all these retcons, not because they hated the series, they want to spite the fans, but because they're trying to open things up for other games to happen. But yeah, did they have to go so hard with it? I don't know. It feels unnecessary. Especially after playing this game. Oh, look, this guy looks like a Game of Thrones character. Look at that. An earlier design for Kain. After playing this game, I almost feel that did Legacy of Kain Ascendance was their retcons to open up the game is not really necessary, given that this game has time travel. When you have time travel in the mix, well, fuck, man, that throws everything for a loop. Then it's relatively easy to like insert a new paradox here or a new time travel thing here to mix things up. So yeah, I'm like, as I'm hearing myself talk, as I'm kind of thinking through it, I'm over here like, yeah, I'm thinking less and less about why it was necessary, or why they thought it was necessary in Ascendance to fracture so much of the story. So yeah, it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. But yeah, it's a niche series for sure, for sure. Yeah. The vibe they're going for, yeah. I was describing this game to a couple folks, or this series to a couple folks off stream, and I was saying how in 1999 you had to be there, I think. In 1999 and 2001, I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think there was nothing like this in 1999 and 2001 when Soul Reaver 1 and 2 came out respectively, that is. You know, were there games, were there universes, were there stories that were of this gothic nature that had vampires? Of course, obviously, of course. You know, history is littered with these kinds of folklore. But video game wise, where you played as like an anti-hero, a vampire, wraith, Soul Reaver thing, with this, you know, yes, there's vampires, but it's not just as simple as humans versus vampires or good versus evil. There's all these like multitudes of good and these multitudes of evil, and they're backstabbing each other, and they're vying for power, and they're wrecking timelines, sometimes intentionally, other times by accident, and they're going against their best interest unknowingly. They're being their fates are being interwoven and tangled and shredded. Yeah, I can't think of anything like this that would have been around at the time. So yeah, like I'm kind of with Aleph. I like the game, and I like the story, and I like the lore. But I could see where it's maybe not for everybody necessarily. Now that's a name I'm not sure if we've seen. Noproptor? I'm not sure if I know that name. So these are probably characters that either maybe were cut or we just haven't seen, except for maybe later in the series. We of course know Ariel. So yeah, there's Malik. Yeah. So there we go. They could have done something without this, like, scorching the earth, right? Or just have nothing. Yeah, exactly. There were other stories they could have done. Yeah, exactly, Silence. I'm inclined to agree. By the end of Soul Reaver 1, I was not so sure, but by the end of this game, I'm like, dude, there's so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities of other things they could have done versus shoehorning a bunch of stuff in the existing story. Farsight theorized that maybe they were just going for fan service. Maybe they were just going for, hey, remember that scene in Soul Reaver 2? Remember that scene in this game? Here's a different perspective of that, which is to appeal to the old school fans. Maybe that's what they were going for. They were saying, hey, remember this? Here's a new take on it. But then they just shoot themselves in the foot because, again, they're not just saying, hey, remember this. They're saying, hey, remember this. We're taking an axe to it, and we're chopping it up and doing some wild shit with it. So, yeah, on the whole, there's cosplay. That's kind of fun. This makes me happy to see. Oh, that's really good. I love that. Look at that. That's actually sick. Oh, that makes me happy, too. Yeah, I love seeing these. Dude, the mask, bro. That's sick. I love these, man. Is that a lady Raziel? That's a Razliette. Yeah, Reyna. Oh, Reyna Audrin? Oh, interesting. Maybe there's unless maybe that's their like their cosplayer's name. Maybe that's like their screen name. But I'm like, I see like Reyna Audrin. Oh, are there more Audrins to see? Yeah, Reyna Audrin. Okay, so there might be more. Not gonna spoil anything, obviously, but there might be more where that came from. I'm just saying. This is so cool. I love this kind of shit, man. I love this kind of shit. There was a comic, right? I never did read the comic. I know there was a comic. I think, was that the one that was kickstarted? Because I heard mixed things about the one that was kickstarted. Yeah, this is all fan art, but still really, really good fan art. She's like a human person? Like a real human person? She worked on this game? That's cool. So not a character we've got to see, but like an actual person. And right. And I think that's where I've heard mixed things about it because of its association with Ascendance. Cool, yeah. Worked as on the remaster specifically. Cool. A texture archaeologist. That's sick as hell. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Thank you for finding that, Aleph. That's very awesome. I'd definitely be curious to learn more about this person. No, so I can definitely appreciate this series. What are my thoughts on 2 specific? No, I liked 2. I liked 2 a lot. The swamp areas and the canyon areas were such a pain in the ass to navigate, and I am bummed we had to like revisit those same areas over and over again. I wished that this game would have, instead of having a fairly small number of areas you revisit a bunch of times in the same timeline, or in different timelines, I would have maybe preferred some new areas. And the combat was a little bit wobbly. I'll say this much. At least the combat was in this game was better than Soul Reaver 1's combat. Soul Reaver 1's combat was... it was serviceable, but not really often that enjoyable. This game, this combat was a bit more enjoyable. I've heard that Defiance's combat is way better. Heads and shoulders above what Soul Reaver 1 and 2 were able to do. And of course, that comes from, you know, technology improving and game design tenets improving. So it makes perfect sense. I like these renders. That's awesome. But no, on the whole, I like this game, and kind of like Soul Reaver 1, I don't think a lot of people play this game for the combat. I don't think they play it for the platforming or necessarily for the exploration. I think they play it for the story. That's why I play it. Like, Soul Reaver 1, very clearly by the end of my first time streaming it, I was like, okay, I think I get the vibe here. The gameplay is cool, and the exploration is serviceable. The combat is serviceable. Is it amazing? Not particularly, but in 1999, it was, you know, it was a sign of its times and a product of its times, rather, and a pretty good representation of it. But the main draw for sure was like the storytelling, the world building, the lore, the feeling that this is like one entry in a very vast universe of experiences and timelines and events and betrayals and alliances. And I think I like how it portrayed that. I like how it painted that picture of like so much cool shit happening. Either happening or having about to happen. Whoa. Oh, hold on. What did I just do? Oh, okay. So, hold on. What did I just click? I clicked something. Yeah, really quick game. So are there playable... Okay, so there are playable cut content sequences. And note that I cannot enable remastered visuals. So this is OG visuals only for Soul Reaver 1. This is kind of cool. So you can see little tidbits of some cut content, which is nice to see. Soul Reaver 1 did a good job. You know, and that's a good point, Silence, because, you know, that's something that went over my head the first time through, but you're absolutely right. Very, very little in the way of, like, loading zones. Especially considering the PS1. The PS1, you think, well, of course there are going to be loading zones, obviously. How could there not be? You have to load from the disc and save to the memory card. Of course, saving, you know, takes a moment. But yeah, you're right. No loading zones at all. And, you know, once you, like, load initially, at least, you'll be able to tell sometimes when, like, you pass through a loading zone and something snaps into view. But no moment where it, like, pauses and goes, hold up, and you have to wait a little bit. Nothing, like, no loading zones to that degree. Nothing to that point. So, Silence is absolutely correct. The technical aspect of Soul Reaver is impressive. Also considering that, again, this is 1999, which is, I guess, fairly into the PS1's life cycle, but still, this reaches back quite far into time, which is impressive. Yeah, it's the warp gate, which probably won't have much new for us necessarily. I can still activate the warp gate, which is kind of cool. I activate the warp gate. Can I use it? There's no way to, like, activate it or, like... Wait, actually, hold on. Was there? Not really. Wait, am I... Oh, there we go. There we go. Can I go out this way? Don't know if we're gonna play through all these, but just to kind of poke around in them is kind of neat. Yeah, these were areas that... It's not even, like, early parts of areas that were in the finished game. These were areas that truly were removed from the game. Because, yeah, we know that in Soul Reaver 1, there was going to be a, I guess, fifth member of Raziel's crew, his Sarafan crew, Turil, I think was the guy's name, Turil, who we of course encountered in human form in this game, but we never encountered in vampiric form in Soul Reaver 1. There was going to be a priestess boss. Yeah, Turil was the guy. Door shuts behind you. Well, maybe, or maybe it was supposed to. But of course, being known that we're in the spiritual realm right now. And going. Oh no, I was wrong. We were in the. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so now we're in this. In the physical realm. Looking like a Diablo kind of design on that door. That's kind of sick. That's something too. As a Diablo fan, there's been a lot that I've been into because I love Diablo 1 specifically, for similar reasons, for the vibe, for the it might sound kind of silly, so it's kind of tame by today's standards, but I always thought Diablo 1 was a scary game, as a kid at least, as a youngster. Oh, here we go. They got the character model. Yep. Can I attack? I mean, kinda. Oh, okay. Eat. Not exactly a tough boss battle. Obviously not fully implemented. But no, like that is a familiar feeling to me, playing an older game that nowadays, you know, is fairly tame, but if I would have played this as a kid, it would have scared me the way that Diablo 1 scared me as a kid. I think Diablo 1 was a scary game back when it first came out. It's not scary nowadays, generally, but it was scary back then. Soul Reaver 2 would have been... I think Soul Reaver 2 would have been less scary. The way that Diablo 2 was less scary. Is Diablo 2 the better game? Probably. But I think Diablo 1 nailed the vibe a little bit more. With like the level design and just the overall look and feel. And as I think about it more, you know, I think I might even go on record and say I think Soul Reaver 1... I think I liked the story sequences more in Soul Reaver 2 when there were more of them. So Soul Reaver 2 was more lore... had more lore critical, you know, had greater importance with the story. But yeah, you know, I think I like how things were depicted in Soul Reaver 1 more. I think like the level design had more of that gothic feel, had more like, yeah, stuff that would be scary. I don't think this game... I mean, I think it would have still... Oh, shit. I think there were sequences that still would have been scary for young me. Try that again. I fell off. I fell off, and I don't mean content-wise. Well, maybe I mean both. Let's go physical. No, like there would have been stuff that would have been scary, but I think Soul Reaver 1 would have been more impactful in that sense if I would have played them as a kid. We got the Electric Reaver. Yeah, the I think the electric aspect is just a... Like, it's not actual electricity. I think that's just how it looks when the Soul Reaver is out in Soul Reaver 1. But yeah, it is pretty cool. Ooh. Gonna hurt me? No, it does not. It probably would in the fully implemented game. Yeah. I was saying earlier, before you rated Silence, I was saying, I wish I could Frankenstein Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2. Take all the stuff that I like in both... and remove the stuff that I don't like. Because Soul Reaver 1 had, yeah, such a cool vibe. And I like the exploration focus that Soul Reaver 1 had. Soul Reaver 1, you were allowed and even encouraged to explore so you could find the health increases, the energy increases, the medallions. So it felt like a maybe more akin to what a Metroidvania kind of experience would have. It's still fairly linear, so maybe not a true Metroidvania in that traditional sense, but I think, yeah, I feel like there was more to that exploration, more to a maybe not quite go here, now go here, now go here. I mean, there was still that, and I remember even commenting on that as such by the end of Soul Reaver 1. It's like, you know, you complete a new area, you get a new ability, you use that new ability to go somewhere else. You complete that area, you use that ability, go to the next area, fight that boss, get that ability, go that. You know, that pattern for sure repeated itself in Soul Reaver 1. But at least in between, there were other things you could check out. Where Soul Reaver 2, it was so by the numbers. It was so do it by the book. It was so like, all right, now you have to go here. There's really nothing else to do. it was just a linear story bound experience, which to be honest was refreshing at first, but by the end of the game, in my mind I was like, I kind of miss seeing new things. I was seeing new ways to see. I was seeing new ways of experiencing familiar areas. You know, the new timelines mixed it up a little bit, but they didn't feel really that different. They looked different, but didn't really feel different. It didn't really feel like I was exploring a new area. It felt like just a new, like a reskin of an area we'd already seen before. Whoops. So to that point, yeah, it was maybe in some ways a step backwards in some ways. But at the same time, I love how this game depicted the story. I love this game. I like this game's combat a lot more than Soul Reaver 1. I liked the like, I don't know, like the finishers felt a little bit more involved. Like there was just a lot more things that felt like the gameplay had some general enhancements. But yeah, like the level design and like the dungeons were pretty cool. Like the dungeons were okay. The forges, they were okay. And there were some interesting puzzles there for sure. I'll also say that there were some unintuitive puzzles in Soul Reaver 1 that kind of tested my patience. I didn't feel that quite as bad in Soul Reaver 2. Soul Reaver 2 didn't feel like there were quite as many unintuitive puzzle sequences that kind of blew my mind. So the puzzles that were in this game felt a little bit more fair in that sense. Yes, I wish I could Frankenstein together the things I liked in both, respectively, and then remove the stuff that I wouldn't like, or diminish the stuff I didn't like as much. But so it goes, right? So it goes. That's just how these things happen. You have there's a lot of these things to explore. Let's check the E3 demo. I'm kind of curious about that. 1998, by the way, so 1 year before this game's release. Because that's how it goes, right? You make an entry into a series, it establishes a cult following, you bring on some new members of the team to make the sequel. You don't want to just do the same thing. You don't want to just do the same game, part 2. You want to maybe do some things different. You have some new developers with new ideas, new designers with new, fresh concepts. Other games are coming out, and you're inevitably going to be influenced by those other games. By that point, let's think about that. Yeah, what kind of games would have come out in 2000 and 1999 that would have also gotten the attention of Crystal Dynamics and have that be in their consideration? Like, that's inevitably what's going to happen. So, of course, it makes sense that there'd be maybe some big differences. So I'm not surprised that there were things in this game that, in Soul Reaver 2, that I liked and others that I disliked compared to the first one. Yeah, for Blood Omen, yeah, and Defiance, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, yeah, exactly, like that kind of Frankenstein, exactly. Yeah, I kind of missed the boss. Well, do I miss the boss battles? At the outset of Soul Reaver 2, when I realized there were going to be no boss battles, or very little of them, I was like, you know what? I'm mostly okay with that. I don't need boss battles necessarily. But you know, I say that, and then by the end of Soul Reaver 2, I kind of missed them. I kind of missed them because I realized it was just the same fights, maybe slightly elevated. You know, we fought a pretty juiced up human dude at the end of Soul Reaver 2, which was, you know, different, but not really, because he was juiced up, but also we were invincible, so it was dramatic in the sense of its story significance, but it wasn't really challenging, and it felt like an interesting way to end the game, but maybe not a very satisfying one. I don't know. It's tricky because, like I said, I don't think I need boss battles necessarily, but there was maybe something kind of missing by the end of Soul Reaver 2 that felt a little bit empty gameplay-wise. But again, I still like the story. I still like how that was being shown to me, yeah. It says these are cut content or lost levels. Oh, here we go. So there was going to be a water forge, a sound forge. Now, there was a light forge, but not a sunlight forge. There was a fire forge. Spirit forge, very Ocarina of Time reminiscent there. Check the water one real quick. Yeah, I don't want to do the exact same thing as the first game. Wanted to do something different, right? The one room, maybe? Still pretty cool, though. Do I get the interaction? Still get the cutscene for it, maybe? Yeah, I definitely don't miss the circle ability. The circle ability was adorable, but I don't miss it. I don't miss it. But yeah, I think that's a tricky thing when a game kind of gets a cult following and you make a sequel. It's like, do we just do the same thing but more? Or do we try to like do some different stuff and take on some other like contemporary level design techniques or what have you? And I think that's a tricky balance, and that remains true to this day. That remains true. Like, do you do just the same thing but more? Do you try to mix it up in some way? But if you make it too different, you're gonna alienate people. If you make it too the same, you're gonna alienate people. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that's it's hard to make something in that situation that checks all the boxes. But we know that it happens sometimes. You know, there are examples where the sequel kind of outshines the predecessor in a lot of ways. The number of people that have said, "You want to play The Witcher, bro? Skip the first two. Just go right to the third one." The number of times I hear that because The Witcher 3 apparently, I've never played it, but apparently that game like really outshines the first two, and not just gameplay wise, but just across the board. So you know, it can happen. It's possible to have a game that, you know, really nails it with as like a subsequent entry into a series, but I think it's probably more common, like we're seeing with this one, where it's maybe not quite a 1-to-1, or not quite like like one is the obvious winner here. I feel like we heard more people express that they like the second one more though. Like when people would rate us or people would pop in there and they would be like, "Oh, I remember this series." Seems like more people would say, "Oh yeah, I love the second one." Like we heard good things about the second one more often than the first one. And that first one did have some really wonky. This is actually kind of cool. I like this. That first one really had some sequences that were like, damn, man, how was I supposed to figure that out? What the fuck? Like some really unintuitive stuff. There was a little bit out in the second one too. The part where you had to use the light projectiles to shoot multiple gems at once and have them go through one, like pass through one gem to hit the one behind it, with no prior indication that the gems could like have the projectiles go through them. There was never any indication that was even an option. That one was like, that was a case of like, damn, how was I supposed to know that? What the hell? Openings. Oh, outtakes? I'll see the outtakes. Oh my god, we have a bajillion. How long do I want to go here? How long do I want to go here? Let's see.
The making of Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver.
Michael Bell.
I feel an
the left.
obligation to work out since I'm Soul Reaver. So when the time comes I really meet everybody, I'll be able to wear tight black outfits, and they won't feel so terribly disappointed to see that it's the 60-year-old cocker doing this voice. I had to go out and buy a PlayStation. They sent me Soul Reaver.
Right.
So I went up to buy PlayStation.
Right.
And we hooked it up in the house, and then I started it. Because I never played it,
No.
a game like this before. I played a game, period, other than, you know, Knick Knock or that little Pac-Man or something.
Right.
And it's extraordinary. The opening is really extraordinary with the wings and the ripping and the throwing down of the abyss. And
Right.
now I'm getting into the labyrinth. 2 hours later, I still am nowhere. He keeps falling off the rock, and I can't work it to get him on the rock. And my daughter is sitting in the bed. She says, "Dad," I said, "leave me alone. I'm going to do this." She said, "But I can." I said, "Leave me alone." And 2 hours later, I look up and I realize it's 2 hours has gone by, and it felt like I was there for 5 minutes. And I have gone no further. And I wanted to get into the other things. I wanted to see, because I did several other voices. I wanted to get,
Right.
you know, couldn't do it. And I said, I can't do this. So when I went,
It's a tough game.
I came back up, said, and I looked, and she's already well beyond me. And I said, so there's got to be a chip that the kids have in their heads that some of us don't have.
Right.
From another time in our existence.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, bro. It's a tough game.
This is a video game for the
There's a lot here. There's a lot. We can't watch all of these, unfortunately. We can't watch all of them. Let's grab a random one.
Raziel, the failed assassin.
The voice of the Elder God.
Mercy, but lacked the courage to fulfill the act. And now you see the wasteland wrought by the tyrant's hand, by his selfish decision to preserve his own life, even when it meant sacrificing the whole world. This is the fate of Nosgoth, as long as Kain remains alive.
An ironic condemnation. given this guilty scene. One would think you'd torn down the pillars single-handedly. What are you trying to obliterate as you drag your loathsome body through this chamber? And why, as Nosgoth descends into madness and misery, do you appear to thrive? Things in this world, I am learning, are rarely what they seem. You, apparently, are no exception.
I am the engine of life, the source of knowledge.
R.I.P. Tony J. Yeah, I'm with you, bud. I'm with you, Silence.
Of the wheel, the origin of all life, the devourer of death.
Or maybe you're just hungry. Could it be as simple as that? Wouldn't that be poetic irony? The great adversary of the vampires turns out to be the biggest parasite of them all.
Do not test my patience, Raziel. I made you, and I will unmake you if I become so inclined.
As your agent, I am beyond death.
There are fates worse than death, Raziel.
Oh, I see you now as you truly are. A cancer. A spooling parasite burrowed deep in the heart of this world.
Go now. Play out your pitiful rebellion and take your place among the destroyed, the used, and the damned. But know this, you are mine for eternity. You have always been, and will always be, my Soul Reaver.
That's the name of the game. That makes me really happy to see. It's fascinating to me. I wonder if those are the takes they used. It says outtakes, so probably not. But the idea of them recording back to back, it's one thing to have the lines read to you, and you like react to them when you're doing voice work. I've not done a ton of voice work, obviously, so I don't fucking know. But I would assume, at least in professional circles, you're probably not just reading them verbatim, like just off a sheet. There might be someone feeding lines to you, so you can react to them. Because I imagine when you're acting, it's probably easier to like get into character and have it feel more authentic. If those kinds of conversations, there's something you can like talk to in response to. But the idea of having both voice actors there, presumably recording at the same time, that's actually really cool. That makes me really happy to see. I love these, man.
Look at this black heart. How still it beats. Or how it still beats would probably be better, wouldn't it?
And also look at his black heart rather than this. But otherwise, perfect. 10, 11, 3 in a row.
Look at his black heart. How still it beats. I'm not going to be able to say it. I'll have to change the
It still beats, right? It still beats.
Demon! He thinks he can change his destiny. What a fool!
So what kind of demon is this?
Very creepy. Very creepy.
Like that? Big guy like that?
He thinks he can change his destiny. What a fool.
Let the next squad take him. Let the next squad take him. To arms! The unholy ones approach! To arms! The unholy ones approach! To arms! The unholy ones approach!
I like that one. I like that one. That last one.
The unholy ones approacheth. Let the next squad take him. The scourge is upon us. The stench of death is in the air. Oh, did you fart?
I didn't get that line in the game.
Touch it. To take it up. Please. Please don't take my line. Please, take my line. Please, take it away from me. There's my unique resurrection. Give me a unique resurrection. First he takes my wings, and then he takes my unique resurrection. And the man has no pity. Stand your ground! It's quiet tonight. You know you got the bluest eyes.
We didn't get that line.
We've been out here a long time without a female vampire hunter.
Let me enlighten you, poor Raziel.
Well, Renee,
What? What?
that's terrific.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll just go home now.
Go home and gargle and clean up those lungs.
Glad we did those at the end.
I mean, I wouldn't have been bothered to have fought the first voice he did, where he was like, he was doing the demon voice, but his first one was like a little, like a little diminutive one. It's like, well, that would have been an interesting demon to fight. Well, let's look at the last one. Let's look at the last one.
Vorador, I see my reputation precedes me.
It does.
All good, I hope. I've been watching you since you emerged from that accursed stronghold. Strange that your arrival coincides with the corruption of the Pillars. But I'm wondering, are you the catalyst of these events? Or are you the answer to them? I distrust your origins, stranger. Seeing you crawl from the putrid depths of Mobius's keep makes me question your purpose here. And what should I make of your appearance? Not human, clearly, and more demon than vampire. And the Pillars. It is no mere coincidence that your arrival in that clearing heralded the Pillars' decay. And so I ask you plainly, are you the instrument of the Pillars' destruction, or their salvation? Very well. Let us look at the other side of the coin. I have followed your journey and watched as you blithely unlocked secrets that have been sealed and forbidden for thousands of years. The path you have been treading is open to only one being. You don't know what you are, do you? What's the point? This world is beyond redemption. Let the human cattle have it. Fairy tales, boy. The delusions of an ancient culture clinging to hope long after the world had discarded them. Their bloodline trickled away, until only one of the ancients remained, sustained solely by obligation and his unfaltering faith in the old prophecies. But even if you are who you appear to be, it no longer matters. You're simply too late. I'm afraid, my friend, that you and all of us are out of luck.
Only downside is that they call them outtakes, but I think some of these might have been like some of the real takes for realsies. But it is fun. I like this kind of behind the scenes stuff. It says demos. Now, is this demos that I can play or just a video? Okay, yeah. This is like if you're at like a Walmart in 1999, 2000, and they have like a demo screen. Or not a demo screen, but like a kiosk where you can play the game. Do you remember the ones where they were like raised way up high? And you have the control, you had to like look real high up? Well, it's in like an advertised mode. This is maybe what's playing. Kinda cool. Look at the last one. Something weird. And of course, this is before the remaster, obviously. So no 60 frames per second, no remastered visuals. Still looks good, though. Now, the cutscenes are in widescreen. It's a smaller resolution, but it is a widescreen resolution. No letterboxing. There definitely were some PS2 games that were natively... had a native widescreen option. This might have been one of them. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not for the gameplay. Kinda cool. I'm curious, what's the trailer?
You nearly had me, Raziel.
So it was published by Eidos back in the day, but I think developed by Crystal Dynamics. Blood and gore and violence.
Do what you have to do.
I bet this was hype. For those who played Soul Reaver 1, I bet seeing this was like really badass. Blah. So bloody, so gruesome. The blood, man. So mature, rated M. Off with his head, yeah.
I know you're there, Raziel.
Some stuff that, of course, was not in the final game. In the top right, there was like a little sword icon. Bottom right, you can see the health icon's a little different.
Familiar to my blighted eyes.
Kind of fun noticing those slight differences between what's shown in the trailer, clearly using a pre-release build, earlier build, versus what we see in the finished product. And once again, the compass looks a little bit different, and the health bar looks also a little bit different still than what we just saw. Pretty long trailer. This might not have been like a... this wouldn't have been a commercial, obviously, but maybe this is like the trailer that was shown... probably not at E3, but maybe at other like press shows or something like that. I don't know. Hard to say.
Come here, you devil!
If you look at... like, this actually looks pretty good. Like, the snow looks good. Yeah, I bet this was really hype back in the day. Like, if you played the first one and loved it, I bet seeing this would have been, like, really exciting. By today's standards, the combat is nothing special.
And destroyer, pawn and messiah. Welcome, time-span soul. Welcome to your destiny.
We're gonna fade away and just see the eyes. Just see the eyes. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Yes, like the combat, you know, is by today's standards is really nothing special. But back then, like clearly seeing that the combat has gotten juiced up quite a bit from what we saw in the first game is pretty neat. Yeah. There's a lot of cool shit to see here. Is this the comic books? Oh my god. Well, it's a story, but not a graphic novel. That is kind of cool. Yeah, when it said Dark Chronicle, I thought Dark Chronicle were graphic novels. So it's some kind of... Oh wait, no, is this literally the story in text form? Because yeah, this is the opening cutscene. If I like... Yeah, it looks like this is almost like verbatim the game in text form, which is kind of neat. There's so much here. There's so much here to devour if you are a mega fan. I mean, I would almost say if you've played the first two games back and forth, and you have no desire in playing them again, like this almost is worth the price of admission alone. Like, there's just so much cool stuff to devour. As a casual enjoyer of the series, I'm like, this is sick as hell. But as someone who, like, I bet for, like, mega fans, there's, like, stuff to really sink your teeth into. Pun slightly intended because of vampire shit, yeah. Now, this is cool. This is really cool. It is getting quite late. Maybe not quite late, but late enough. So we're going to wrap up maybe a little bit earlier than I typically do on weekends. For one thing, I have to get up at a somewhat reasonable hour tomorrow anyway. So this is a good opportunity. Originally, I was thinking maybe we'd play something else just to kill time for an hour or so, but if I were to start up something new, we'd really only be able to play for like another, yeah, maybe half an hour, maybe. So not as much going on there. But no, this is cool. This is really cool. I'm glad we got to play this. I'm glad we got to beat this. Thank you to Frax for assisting me a whole bunch in the first game and the second game. Really coming in clutch with like a bunch of nudges and hints for things where you could tell I was getting stumped, and sometimes where I specifically said like, hey man, I'll take a hint, I'll take a suggestion, but your assistance has been very appreciated, and also your consideration has been appreciated. I keep saying over and over again how much I'm grateful for chatters and viewers such as yourself that know the game, but you're willing to let me fuck around a bit and not backseat, not really ride my ass, and like give me that grace to experience the game in a hopefully what you would consider to be like a proper and more authentic way to experience it, versus just being led around like a, you know, there's nothing wrong with the tour guide approach, being a tourist and being led along, but I like to think that trying to really immerse yourself, trying to really, I don't know, like trying to experience it the way that it was intended by the developers. And also I try to put my, there's more I could do about towards this end, but when I play games like this, I try to put myself in the mindset of remember when this game came out and remember what it was like, because I can play it through a lens of modern gaming, which is one thing, but I think it's more I think there's more insight to be gained by thinking like, what was it like when this game came out? How was it played? And how can I try to experience some of that? How can I try to capture some of that in my playthrough of it? I mean, I try to also be mindful of, yeah, in what ways is this reflected back towards me from a modern perspective? But I don't know. I think part of it is nostalgia, of course. Like I'm a sucker for nostalgia, like a lot of us are. I am, I'm a product of the late 90s and early 2000s in a lot of ways. So I remember what 1999 was. I remember what 2001 was. So for me, there's like a nostalgic aspect. So I can, because of some of that, I can hopefully bring that perspective as well to the perspective as far as, or I can bring that perspective to the experience of the stream, you know, for viewers and chatters that maybe weren't around from that time period. I like to think that's part of the stream that we can add to it to kind of mix it up a little bit. But no, this is good. This is some good shit. Some really cool stuff. Oh my fuck! Novaria is playing Defiance Remastered, and she's watching the outtakes from that game. That's kind of fun. Now we raided her just the other night. I'm looking for a raid target. I'm looking for like folks to raid into. But no, it's fun that she's doing this exact same game. But no, this is good. This is really good. And although yeah, and of course we're wrapping up the stream here, obviously. And although we still have some Defiance to check out, we're probably not going to play through all of Defiance right from the get-go. We're probably going to like we'll do one session for sure, but that might be one game where I play it for a little bit and then come back at a later date to like finish properly. But no, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. And even though, yeah, the series, both 1 and 2 at least, were kind of uneven and wobbly in some parts, on the whole, it was enjoyable. Like by the time it's all said and done, I enjoyed myself a whole bunch. This was good. This is good. Grim points out that I did miss a video redeem. Oh shit, let's go back. Let's go back. Grab one thing here. But yeah, that does do it for Legacy of Kain for Soul Reaver 2. I'm kind of surprised. Search for Soul Reaver. Because my stream doesn't show up. Maybe it's because... Oh, okay, there we go. Now it shows up. It's because Legacy of Kain is technically not in the title for Soul Reaver. That's why. That's why. Let's see what Graham's got for us, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. But thank you again, folks hanging out with us. Thank you again to Silence for that raid. That's very nice of you. Oh, Grim, I'm sorry. I missed this video by quite a while ago. I'm real late to the party. Let's see what Grim's got. Take a look. It's in a book. Is this The Onion? I think it's The Onion, right? Onion News.
I'm Juliana McCannis, filling in for Clifford Baines, who wants you to know that he's super sorry, but he just couldn't make it in today due to a bunch of stuff that he'll tell you about later. A new study has found children who watch pornography are more likely to believe sex is exciting and enjoyable. Is pornography warping our youth's view of sex?
I think that's absolutely true. Kids that watch porn are being taught that sex is fun.
That's depressing to me. We expect pornographers to teach children about the reality of sex, and to teach them that it's anything less than humiliating and frightening experience is wrong.
It is. Sex leaves you numb and shivering for days.
And these are the kind of things that our kids really need to know about.
Pornographers should be required to depict sex honestly. They should always show the actresses being lied to.
Oh, right. That would be very educational. What they should have is a man telling the woman that he likes her very much and that he'll see her at her best friend's birthday party 2 days later.
Liar.
A Shuttleworth Institute report found that 98% of porn movies actually show the actors having physically gratifying orgasms.
I've never experienced that in my entire life.
Of course not.
It's going to make kids think they're doing something wrong when they find themselves in a 30-minute struggle to arouse their frigid partner, and then they fall asleep with their hand in her vagina.
Yeah, but it's not just pornography that sends our kids the wrong messages about sex. Child psychologists say that video games like Grand Theft Auto make the process of picking up prostitutes seem easy.
They're right. It doesn't teach kids that it's a nerve-wracking necessity.
Well, and in that video game, you can just bludgeon a prostitute with your gun. This is sending the message to kids that it is simple to kill a hooker and get rid of her body.
It's not. It's very, very time-consuming.
Of course it is.
As we all know.
The game also doesn't teach kids about the emotional side of murdering whores.
That's right, and it easily could. The game should have a mission where you have to avoid eye contact with your wife while you're having breakfast because you're just so racked with shame.
I think that would be really helpful, but the biggest misconception that kids are getting about sex is that it has anything at all to do with love.
There is no love in the world. There's only pain.
Right.
Hooray! Dude, I missed these, dude. Onion News Network, man. I remember this shit, too. I remember this one. I remember, man, 17 years ago. Oh, my God. 17 years ago. I know I covered it originally. My face was covering it, but there it is. 2009. I remember watching these. I kept up with the Onion News Network channel. Or the Onion News. I guess just the Onion YouTube channel. And kept up with these. These are great. Incredible. Grim, what a great find, man. There's no love in this world, only pain. I've never experienced that in my life. Of course not. Incredible. It's a nerve-wracking necessity. Yeah. Jeez. Wish I'd see this before I got married, bro. Amazing. Good shit, Graham. Good shit. Yeah, I love these. I love these from back in the day. Yeah, no, the Onion is one of those where, like, I love the Onion and I love reading their articles, love watching the videos, and they always make me laugh. But like, what's enjoyable and weird and goofy about watching the Onion or reading the Onion is, of course, like, on the one hand, there's the immediate reaction is, oh, this is funny, but then there's like the secondary reaction, which is like, oh, but like, what is it saying? Like, what is this reflecting back towards us as a society, as this, as that? I think that's always kind of fun. It brings certain things to the forefront that are obvious to a lot of us, obviously, of course, but sometimes like making you laugh at it makes you attack it from a different angle, makes you appreciate it for different reasons. But anyway, though, thanks again, friends, for hanging out with us. I think this person is... Oh, you know what? Heck, I was gonna raid this guy, but he is not English speaking. I don't think there's any English speaking here at all. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not like diametrically opposed to raiding a non-English speaker, but I've done it a number of times in the past, and it's always a little bit tricky. Where the language barrier really makes it hard to be like, really connect with the person. So no disrespect to this person, but I think I might just look elsewhere. So I don't make it sound like I'm being weird about it, obviously, but it's like, oh man, I was hoping I could maybe raid a new person just because he's playing Blood Omen. But yeah, I don't think there's any English, unfortunately. So I think it's just easier if I can like more freely communicate with the person. So we'll look elsewhere. It's sometimes the person is bilingual, but there was no mention of that at all in the channel description, so we'll just play it safe. So we'll find another raid target elsewhere, which is fine. We could raid Novaria. She's playing Defiance again. We could just raid her. She's probably going to be going for a bit. But let's see who else is live right now. I should be back tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow is Sunday. I should be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be co-op stream, so we'll start tomorrow's stream festivities by playing multiplayer games with Alias and Krath and Shake. In fact, they were playing some what's it called? Some Elden Ring Night Rain earlier, but I missed the opportunity to join them until it was too late. Of course, it's a maximum of 3 players in that game, so I couldn't have been a 4th anyway. So by the time I saw the message, they had already joined and squatted up. So they were playing some games earlier. But yeah, the 4 of us should be playing some games tomorrow, starting around the same time, 6 o'clock Central. But after the multiplayer stuff wraps up, I'll probably have some time for some single player stuff. I'm most likely not gonna jump into Defiance tomorrow. What we'll probably end up doing is do Defiance maybe Monday or Tuesday, and tomorrow I'll spend that time for the single player part of the stream at least doing a couple other things. For one thing, there's a couple of other like single player games I've kind of had in my back pocket. There is a game called. It's called Demon Lord Just a Block, which at first didn't really look like much, but because I got a review key for it, and at first I was thinking like, I don't know, I might not grab this one. But now that I've like seen a little bit what the game is like, now I actually kind of want to try that out. So we'll probably play that tomorrow or maybe Monday, sometime this week for sure. So we got that one to check out. We also got a review key for Directive 8020, which shocked the hell out of me. That'll be my first ever supermassive game. If you've ever heard of The Quarry or Man of Medan or what was the big one? That was a big one. Until Dawn, I think was what it was called. Same developer there. And Directive 8020 just came out. We got a key for that one. We'll check that out sometime this week, most likely. Still got to go back for Roadout. I kind of put Roadout on hold, and I was starting to go back for that one. Yeah, a couple other kind of odds and ends of games to play, which I'm excited about. But yeah, we'll be checking out Defiance this week for sure. We probably won't like play all the way through and like over the course of a couple days. I'll probably play it once and then maybe put it on hold so I can play some other stuff, because I realize I've kind of fallen behind with some other review keys and other games that I've kind of been sitting on. But, oh, and the other one is Gravelord. Gravelord actually hits its 1.0 release milestone on Thursday, I think. We'll play that on Thursday. So yeah, so we got some fun stuff for this week for sure. Some fun stuff and some cool indie games. Lots of little indie games, lots of smaller projects. After doing some retro games, we're going to be going back to more modern indie games for a while. But I still have like other like big projects I want to do. For one thing, I got a review key for High on Life 2, and I never actually played the first one. I have the first one, just never played it. So I'll probably play some of both of those at some point. And still Pathologic. Pathologic is another like really big project I'm going to get into that's kind of similar to Legacy of Kain, which is to say it's an older series that's very much a cult series, very much a cult following. And I played Pathologic 1 all the way through as the Bachelor character, but never played as the Changeling, never played as the Horrorspec. So I do want to go back and re-experience that series in some ways, because I got a review key for the third one. So I want to refamiliarize myself with the first game, probably playing as the Horrorspec, and then play through 2 and then ultimately 3. So yeah, we got like that'll be another kind of thing similar to how we did Soul Reaver 1 and 2, where I kind of mainlined a series for a while. We have that in our near future as well. So thank you for hanging out with us, friends. Really appreciate folks chilling with us, and of course thank you again to Silence for the raid. As far as our raid opportunities go, let's go with this person. I haven't had a chance to raid Penny Potato in actually, I don't know if I've ever raided her, actually. She's playing some... What is she playing? I just clicked on the thing. What was it? I missed it. She's playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I think she raided me one time. I don't think I've ever actually had a chance to raid her back. So let's consider this as an opportunity to hit her with the old raid back. You know, she raids us. Let's get her with the raid back. I think it's only fair. So let's raid her. Her name is Penny Potato. I will see you guys there. Once again, here's my socials page. If you're listening right now, you've probably heard my spiel before, but I'll say it just so that folks know that socials page has all of my stuff. Of course, has social media. Of course, has all the usual stuff. Has my link. Has my things like Instagram. Has Twitter. Has TikTok. Has stuff like my Discord server, which is the best way to keep up with myself and others inside the community outside of our streams. My Discord server is where I post my schedule every week. It's where we do our giveaways every so often, usually in like a raffle format. I should also mention I'm live in a lot of places. I'm live on TikTok, I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Facebook, but the main one is Twitch. I do recommend if you can only follow me on one place, I recommend following me on Twitch. That's where our primary content creation platform is. It's where most of our viewers are, most of our chatters are there, so it's kind of the closest to the source stream experience. And otherwise, like I said, that Linktree page has all the stuff. Let's raid Penny Potato. She's playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I will see you guys there. Thank you for hanging out with us, friends. Thank you again to Silence for that raid. Thank you once again to Frax for helping out with Soul Reaver 1 and 2. We'll definitely be back for at least one instance for sure of Defiance this week, and probably more in future weeks as I kind of, like I said, get caught up on other smaller games I've kind of put on hold so I can kind of focus Soul Reaver. We'll still check out Defiance, but I will hold off on a full playthrough until a later date. But this was fun. Thanks for hanging out with us, friends. I'll see you around. Everyone have a great night. Penny Potato raid coming in hot. I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.
You have to like when there's a guy coming right in your face.